you remember that?
Oh yeah, no, that video is stuck in my head. We are live now. Yeah. Hello everyone, and thanks for giving us your time today for VR Sideload. I'm in Hamilton, in New York, joined today by our guest Chris Stockman of Planet Games in the Upload VR studios as we look at where people go in VR headsets and what they do there. We're in Quest 3 headsets. You're in a Quest 3?
I am.
Yeah. Quest 3 headsets today with last generation meta avatars, and unfortunately, this is Gray, Chris from Planet Games, because we haven't been able to retrieve his um, texture from the servers, I guess. We've got tablets in front of us. We've got hand tracking, built-in microphones. If Chris reaches for his controllers, his controllers will take over, and you get to see those, which is cool. The tablets in front of us show us comments, and we can interact with our audience live. I see Not Suspicious out there. That is one of our subjects today that we're discussing. My mirror here up on the screen is not working well, so I can't be sure we're streaming smoothly. So you'll have to tell us in the audience how it's working. Okay, is your mirror working for you over there, Chris?
No, I don't
Okay.
see myself.
Yeah,
I see you. It looks like you're on this. Looks like the screen is static.
Yep. All right. Well, at least we see the same thing. That's an important part of, of this. And let's see if I can change cameras here. Yeah. The cameras are not working really well here. Let's see. 1, 2, wide. The camera's stuck on you now. Yeah, Lord Grey Chris is what they're calling you over in the comments, which is a take on Grey Dawn, which is the way we've taken to refer to the other member of our team who doesn't have any texture. I see Ian's textures. Chris is a member of the Grey Cult, and the TV in the back is a pic of Super RC. So that's right. But now I've lost the ability to change cameras over on the machine. Let's see if I can fix that real quick.
The gremlins at work.
Yeah,
they weren't here last week.
Different gremlins every time, and I shouldn't have changed the camera. That's what I get for changing the camera. So I'm going to close the studio down real quick and reopen it and see if that fixes it for us. Hello. There we go. Magic. All right. Audience, tell us if you see us, if you hear us, if we exist. Please. Thank you to Not Suspicious for the emoji down there telling us about the desktop I was transmitting from virtual reality, from a cloud in virtual reality. Welcome back. Thank you for Not Suspicious for confirming. You've got the track editor from Super RC right here. I told Chris out there, Great Chris, to disconnect and reconnect. The joys of streaming from a cloud in virtual reality. Oh, I'm sorry to have shown you my my bottom half. I'm hoping Chris is able to rejoin and he doesn't hit the connecting error that we occasionally hit as a bug. Yeah. Let's see. I don't see Chris yet. I don't see Chris either. So thankfully we share reality. Unfortunately, I would like Chris to join. Oh, wait. Did that really just work perfectly?
I'm back.
Oh, fantastic! I was hoping you would join our reality, and you appeared like you they're transported in here. Well, fantastic. He was talking about all right. Tell the audience, spoil that episode of Twilight Zone for people that we were talking about.
Yeah, for you youngins out there, Twilight Zone was a phenomenal series that I think lasted for 5 seasons or 4 or 5 seasons back in like what, the 60s, the 50s even. It was an episode with the great William Shatner, and he was on a plane, and he kept looking out the window, and he would see this creature on the wing, and every time he'd freak out and tell
there's a creature on the wing of the plane.
A creature on the ring, and no one would see it but him. And the creature kept, tearing into the wing. And I think I can't remember the end, but yeah, I think the plane did it crash or no? I think it landed safely, but in the end, he was right. And
yeah, it's been remade twice, or at least twice. I think that was one of the ones that was in the movie version. And then there was, I think Jordan Peele did one. Did
right. It's a classic episode. It's that and like the Burgess Meredith one, which was phenomenal. Remember that where he's alone and.
Wait, is that the? I mean, there's so many. Is that the one with the glasses?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. If you remember the movie, I remember the beginning of the movie is these two people in a car driving along, and they're sharing old Twilight Zone episodes exactly like this. I remember that. Hello in our comments. We are restarted now. 10 minutes into our stream, we've rebooted virtual reality, and we've rebooted the cloud in order to stream with everyone today. We've got Chris here from BitPlanet, and he is hard at work on Super RC. You've been how long? Refresh our memories out there in the audience of how long you've been working on this and what it is.
Yeah, just over 3 years, and it's aims to be sort of the ultimate virtual reality RC platform game, where we have a variety of cars. You can race, you can sandbox, you can create your own tracks, you can create kind of your own fun, and with a variety of different cars that all behave very differently from each other, in a very sort of realistic manner, I guess. Somewhat realistic.
So we've got the trailer for that down in the comments, and I think also the link to the store page where you can wish list it. And you're just saying it's coming soon right now, as far as we know. We've got some details. We'd love to show more clips and video and photos and more assets from the game, but I think we're going to take our time getting that up there, since just getting this at all streaming from the cloud is quite an undertaking. We're looking at the map editor right now. I think we took a glimpse at some of this, but can you walk us through a little bit what the map editor is here in a minute? And then also, as far as what we've got coming up today, and our, I want to say thank you real quick to our patrons. So XR Developer News, Podum, Holonet, Mike Manzano, Justin Corcoran, Richard Meller, Parmesan Cubits, Steve Lucas, David Wide, and T. Ponch. Thank you all for your support of the work we do. Thank you for tuning into our streams wherever you are. Not Suspicious out there in our audience just released Banners and Bastions. We're going to have a section later in the show where you should head out, and then we'll have Don come in, who's already spent a bunch of time inside of Banners and Bastions. And we'll probably talk a little bit about this game. Just I have to say it again and again and again, because I hope our audience starts to say it if I keep repeating it. You got to go support artists. You got to go support developers. You have to do the hard work of spreading the word about work that you think is interesting. That's why you're here right now. I think your work is interesting, and I want to learn more about it. And we're going to have a lot of guests on this show to foster conversations about things we think are interesting in virtual reality.
Congratulations on the release of Banners and Bastions. Releasing a product is always a hard thing to do, and so it should be celebrated.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, that's one artist, one developer to another developer, very real talk, and that's exactly the type of thing I want to foster more often, because I don't know, the screaming children in Horizon Worlds need to learn how to respect artists at some point. I think. I hope. I guess
when they grow up.
Yeah, right. When they're ready to spend money, maybe then, their own hard-earned dollars, right?
Yeah.
That's when it actually matters to spend money on art, I guess. Not Suspicious out there with Banners and Bastions. A couple other games or products out there from them. Airspace Defender, and I think Tablecraft is the other work. What are your other works that are out on the stores right now that people can go and grab if they want?
Yeah. I mean, Ultra Wings 2, probably the most notable one. Obviously, Ultra Wings 1 was quite well received when it first came out many, many, many years ago. But yeah, fun fact: Ultra Wings 1. I think it's the only VR game I think it's one of the only VR games that's pretty much that released on every platform imaginable, including Gear VR. If you remember that back in the day.
Yeah, that's right. And it makes it such a remarkable project when you think about it that, right? Like, I mean, you've got somewhere on your file system a version of that game that runs on everything. That's wild.
Well, it started out as a PC VR game, right? And it released on Rift. And then it was brought down to Gear VR. And then, Go, which is kind of one and the same in terms of like technology, right? Then it Quest, where we added the motion controls and all that stuff, right? Similar to the PC version. But we went even one step further where we put it out on Switch.
Oh, wow.
And called it Ultra Wings Flat, and basically did like a version of it where, the camera, you could control the camera in terms of like going into third person, a chase cam type of thing, right? Anyway, so
how did the Switch version sell compared to all your other versions? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, probably the worst performing one. Right? I mean, it's funny. We learned a lot from it. We learned that you can't just port stuff from VR to non-VR without significant changes. Even more than we should have done more changes than what we did. Like, we should have streamlined everything, because flying the ultralight on the Switch version is a way different experience than like flying it on VR, right? It's completely different, and it's boring in a sense, so.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about Alien Earth, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, because we have the geekiest audience imaginable. And there's tie-ins in all sci-fi into our technology that we deal with. So good reasons to bring that up. And then we'll have Don join, and we'll talk about Banners and Bastions with Not Suspicious. And then I want to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky and Deadpool. We've got a Deadpool a second hands-on with Deadpool that we put up on the site. So 2 people here at UploadVR have tried out Deadpool at this point, and it's a slow developing. Like, it's just going to appear one day, right? They're going to announce. Did we have the date? I think they may have.
I think it's like November, right?
I think
Mid-November.
So it'll be here as their big holiday release, and everyone's going to drop into it and talk about it over a big a big moment. And then here's the thing: do not spoil in our audience, right? Okay. Here's the thing: we're going to have to figure out how to talk about spoilers on some of these shows because I want to be respectful. We're going to
Yeah.
be respectful of the people who haven't watched these things yet. But I also need to find a way to tell people, actually, this is some of the best sci-fi I've seen in a while, and you need to actually pay attention. Like this is some fun stuff for us to talk about and think about if we can actually get in a room together and we've all watched the episode together. This is fun to talk about in a way that we've missed in a very long time. But anyways, yeah, that's the plan for today. And then let's just get back to Super RC to start off with. And then in our comments, let us know if there's anything interesting you want to talk about in the VR space. We've got VR Gamer Dude out there. And yeah, VR Gamer Dude is warning us that he has not watched Strange New Worlds. And we're going to have to discuss a very specific thing that happens in the most recent season of Strange New Worlds. But I don't think I'll go into any more detail than just giving you the subject of the episode. And Quentin saying Strange New Worlds lost me halfway. And I get that. Halfway through the first season, best Star Trek show in the last 10 years is Orville. And I'm not afraid to say it. Have you watched Orville?
I have a little bit, yeah.
Well, the third season of Orville is they called it New Horizons, I think it was. Maybe it's the third season. It's a tonal shift in the whole series, and they almost got some new crew members in there. It's just a whole thing, but they nail the Star Trek, and even
Less
episode
slapstick.
by oh yeah, and they still have jokes from time to time, but the joke is that is completely run down compared to everything else. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Super RC and the map maker. So tell us what you got in there.
Yeah. So this is the track creator. You can go in and we have multiple track creators based on the car type that you are currently using or currently have chosen and the scene that it sort of belongs to. So different scenes, different cars. And what you see here is this is unlike, I think, any other kind of track creator that exists in the market and this leverages the power of VR, where you grab the pieces from the board and just slot them in on the creator board. It's like this little arcade cabinet we built. You grab it, you pop it down, you can raise and lower the elevation, cycle between different pieces, kind of copy existing like here's all of these. On this section is all of the pieces that you recently used. Those are the pieces that you can select. You grab it, you put down, and then you push these buttons on what you want to do. You want to save the track. You want to generate the track. You want to clean it. It's all very slick and intuitive. And then you generate the track, and then you test drive it, and then you can bring it in online and race other people. And that's the gist of it. That's it. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And generating tracks in VR is just way easier than, let's say, doing it in, flat screen land, right? Where you have an editor and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that goes hand in hand with something my colleague David was saying yesterday on VR Download. We were talking about it, and he had a claim where he thought a VR social network or that is built from the ground up for VR with 10 fingers as your input is going to go places that other things that aren't built around that constraint can't. And he was almost describing some of this idea of like handing pieces to one another or like piecing them together. And this is a good illustration of some of those ideas. And I'd love, you can't do this with multiplayer, right? You have to create the course and then.
Yeah, right now. We'll see where things go. If people really like it, then, we built it with the flexibility in mind to be able to actually build the tracks together. Invite a friend and you can build tracks together. So initially it's single player, but, if people really dig it, then yeah, we'll extend functionality.
Yeah. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, before I quit Twitter and, I'm remembering now on the Orville, I put a tweet out there that I wanted several more seasons of the Orville and a movie, I think, even because that's how good it was in the whole Star Trek universe. And the Orville had I tweeted that out there into the ether, and then Seth MacFarlane, the creator of the Orville, retweeted that he was game for that. He wanted it. He was ready for it if whoever's holding the rights, I think it's Disney, is holding the rights to that, would actually show up and pay for it. And we don't have the Orville. What we have is Strange New Worlds right now, and I think it's getting good, guys.
They're coming out with a new Orville season, I thought.
Are they getting it?
I think so.
Did we? I hope so. I mean, like, I kept hoping it would happen. I missed that, but it's one of the reasons. We're going to need to find a way to put spoilers up here over time, because look, we've got to find a way to get. It's part of the same thing, right? We could spoil your game in some ways, right? By talking about it. Maybe people would want to go and find these things fresh for the first time. But it actually, I think, helps more to deconstruct and dive into some of your decisions here.
Absolutely.
Because, like, oh gosh, when did you start game development? What was the first game? What was the system you were on?
Oh, really? Let's go to the Wayback Machine. The very first game I was credited on was a Sega Genesis game.
Oh wow! What was the game?
It was called Muhammad Ali's Knockout Boxing.
Oh wow! Yeah, what did you do on that?
Fun fact, I was playing a John Madden football for the original Super Nintendo when it first came out, and I noticed in the credits that the company that worked on the game that was listed was in my hometown, and I literally cold called them. And I said I wanted the job, and I wanted to make games. I wanted to design games. Is what I said. And it's I said this to the receptionist, and in this day and age, hang up city, right? But she actually connected me to the executive producer of the entire studio of all their projects, who happened to be the father of one of the owners. He took my name and number down, and called me 3 months later and said, "Come in. We offer you a job, and bring a friend."
Bring a friend.
And I was their first QA.
QA on Muhammad Ali. So you tested the power of each of those boxers?
I tested the entire game, when it was still in development. And back then there was one programmer working on it and 3 artists, and it was a very small team, and they would just burn ROM chips to be able to test the game. And we'd stick the carts that are all Frankenstein together in the Genesis consoles, and that's how games were made back then.
I don't understand why you would destroy the chips per play, or to make the test build. Like, you would burn it once, and then you can't burn another build to it. I think you could
keep burning them over and over again. Yeah,
interesting. And then using the term burning for anything other than a CD is unknown to me. Did you use that in the same way, or were you meaning in a different way?
I didn't. I was not. We weren't. They wouldn't trust us with the machine to burn the chips. So, but I think you could reuse them over and over again. It was just, basically copying the code to the chips.
There's so many terms industry wide. What does it What does ADR recording mean to you? What does that expand out to?
ADR recording?
Yeah, or ADR. Yeah.
No idea.
Is it automated dialogue recording or additional dialogue recording? It's the idea that your person on set didn't record good audio, and so now you're going into the studio to record another take and layer that back over there. And correct me if I'm wrong on that terminology, but I've you can see these old things where that's easy to do automated wise now, right? You can, if you have enough audio of the actor, you could theoretically fill in a bunch of that without having them come back into the studio and do it again. Not Suspicious saying it's a very interesting discussion. And in fact, that's exactly the type of discussion we want to foster with you, Not Suspicious, in coming weeks. With all of your games, we'd like to get you into this seat over here and continue this discussion with you on your games. And just continue from there. We'll get another dev in line after that and go through these games one at a time and just continue this discussion at so many different levels. Do you think we'll see a big new VR game announcement at MetaConnect from Siegfried? Good question. Good question. What do you think?
No.
Wow, that was flat. Goodness. Yeah, it's
I don't think they're going to announce anything VR game related at MetaConnect.
it's if they can't if they announced a game, they would perhaps have to indicate maybe it wouldn't run on current hardware. Like that would be a problem if they announce like what are the chances that someone who's been contracted for a game like if you had to bet, what do you think would be the budget of a game that Meta would fund these days? How many figures are we talking? External development.
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. I think I think in the neighborhood of 5 million
Yeah,
is
so
probably their cap.
so yeah, that's a big. All right, so that's a big number. Our audience, a lot of our members probably haven't heard that number. Could be a guess, right? Like, and that's not even considering like all the different things that could come to play at the table of like figuring out something that's happening. But my point is, let's say Meta has uh there is no let's say there's not a Quest 4. Let's say there's a completely different architecture for the
Yeah.
system. And the complete new architecture plays Quest games, but it's a new architecture with a new overhead for developers to build for, right? You can't come out this year and say this game is coming in 2026 for your current headset, right? It wouldn't work that way. So, all right, we've got him thinking that there's not going to be a big new game announcement. That would be devastating for the schedule ahead. I think if they didn't, but yeah, I could see that happening. I'm not gonna guess either way because I think there's, yeah. Do you think they would announce something big coming to Horizon Worlds that people actually want to play? Let me rephrase the question that
No.
way. Brutal. I gave you both chances. All right, let's talk about Alien Earth. Have you been watching Alien Earth?
I have. I'm not caught up to the latest episode, but I have been watching it. Yes, we are in kind of a renaissance era for sci-fi, right? It's
I
crazy.
agree. Yes, and it's amazing all the good stuff that's out there that like is even a couple years old that people haven't even discovered. There's what Tales from the Loop on Amazon was pretty good. Then there's the Electric Dreams mini series that was on Amazon.
Foundation
where there was a couple...
on Apple is freaking phenomenal.
Oh, Foundation. Oh, the Foundation is so. If you're unfamiliar with Foundation, I remember someone suggested this on Twitter in the old days, and it actually is a good piece of advice. Sci-fi authors don't necessarily have the best storytelling abilities. They're not the best writers, except the premises of their stories are just mind-bogglingly cool. You can swim inside those premises. So the easiest way to get into a sci-fi tale in some ways is to go read the Wikipedia page and get the premise of the story. You can do that with Foundation really, really quickly and get the premise of these novels. And it doesn't encapsulate. If you go and do that and get the Wikipedia page and start thinking, what if that works? Right? All right. So Foundation, the premise is there's a branch of science that's invented called psychohistory, and you could think of it as macroeconomics applied to trillions of people tracked across the entire galaxy. And so the idea is using psychohistory, they can actually predict the future, and the future is that's being predicted by this math, by this new branch of science, is the downfall of galactic civilization. Right, across hundreds of years, there will be a loss of all human knowledge, and the Foundation is the answer to that. And what's amazing that Apple's done over here with this show is that's the premise, right? Like you go to the go to the Wikipedia page and go, what if that could happen? And here's Apple, and what they've done is they're spreading out this whole story over. I think they had a big plan of maybe 7 seasons or something like crazy long, and it's working. It's getting better with each passing season, and they're doing callbacks to season 1 that make you want to watch season 1 again. I'm on my 3rd watch through of Foundation.
For All Mankind too, right? Apple's kind of been the lead
Yes.
of this sci-fi sort of renaissance. I can't remember a time where we had this much sci-fi on shows.
Did you
in
do The
TV land.
Expanse? Ross in our comments has mentioned The Expanse.
Yeah,
Did you do
I
that
mean,
one too?
Oh yeah, multiple times.
Just when the when they need to do hygiene maneuvers and you see the chemicals shooting straight into their veins, and it's like, yeah, man, this is what I signed up for when I was thinking about virtual reality in the 1990s, right?
I loved it so much. I was also a huge fan of Battlestar Galactica. I mean, the remake, right?
Nothing will match those maneuvers that the battles. I can't spoil it 20 years after it aired.
Yeah,
because some of them, when it dropping into orbit, right?
Yeah,
dropping
the Adama
right?
maneuver, they called it.
Well, there was also the one where they punch into the ship and they at near the end, and I loved that maneuver as well. That was
Fun fact: I made a space shooter years ago, indie space shooter. And I really tried to emulate the cutscenes using the Battlestar style cutscenes of the FOV changes and the shaky cam and all that stuff. And I just love the dogfighting of that series so much, and the grittiness of the capital ship battles. I mean, big fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so incredible. And yeah, I think Expanse is the first show to outdo the space battles in BSG, right? Like that's a big gap, right? That's some cool sci-fi between there, but then you get these space battles in Expanse where it's just your heart drops with the launch of every volley, and it's just incredible. There's so many cool things. I love that you've experimented with this. I've seen there's so many interesting things. Have you seen the I guess you might be familiar with this. There's a dogfighting group, like a aerial recreation group inside of VR chat where they take out classic aircraft and do aerial battles against one another. And the whole thing is broadcast, live streamed from the different cockpits and from different cams. Really surprising amount of simulation even inside VR chat, right? And this whole community that's grown up around simulating these fights where the people are trying to do battles. But take that to the next step, right? Where we go to these movies every few years and you see one maneuver across the movie that's just like, whoa, that was cool. And we've got VR artists out there that live and breathe this stuff. We're going to have, I'm waiting for the time when people are like, why aren't we pantomiming a whole space battle out and then filming it right after and making a whole movie that way? It feels like we could do that with VR very, very rapidly. And I know visual effects is almost there, but there's so much software and between what I just described and actually making the movie. Oh, let's see. So everyone's saying a cool talk out there. Arlen mentioning Babylon 5. I actually missed Babylon 5. That one missed me a little bit, and I've always felt bad. And I can't. I did Deep Space Nine though, and I know that's the Star Trek equivalent to a lot of people. And the thing that works with Star Trek is you can give people a one-off episode and say go try this one on. And you don't need any prior knowledge of the series. Go give this one a watch and see if that one hooks you. Does that exist for Babylon 5? For Babylon 5 fans out there, let us know. All right, so are you caught up on Strange New Worlds? And I'm going to have to give this... Well, let's go back to Alien Earth real quick. Alien Earth, you haven't watched the most recent episode, and I'm going to describe my reactions to each of these episodes, right? Instead of spoiling these things, right? Okay. At first, it's please don't do that, corporation. I can't believe you're doing that as a corporation. Please don't. This is going to lead to so many bad things, right? And then episode 2, it's I told you, right? And then episode 3, it's see, right? But now by episode 4, the one you haven't watched yet, I'm actually starting to feel bad on a level that I didn't expect about all of these decisions, because now it's I'm making corporate decisions along with the other corporate entities doing these awful things of like how to deal with the mess that they've made, because they've clearly made the worst mess you can possibly imagine, and no one is giving a crap about fixing it. And yeah, it's just phenomenal the way this is slowly brewing as the episodes are going. So there's a spoiler then is, I think we, on a previous episode, the first episode here, we talked about the premise of the show. What was that premise at the very beginning? So we don't spoil it for our audience out there, but we get more people hooked in. What was the premise that we can get more
of
people
Alien
in?
Earth?
Of Alien Earth, yeah.
I guess the premise is that alien comes to Earth.
Well, what about the immortality is, I think, the underlying current.
Oh, yeah.
There's different paths to immortality.
Yeah, yes, the hybrids, the synths, the cyborgs, I guess how they originated, right? How that all began.
Yeah, I love that. And it's part of the mythos I didn't know I wanted, right? And I didn't know that they could do this much with. And it's so cool to do that. I'm seeing Arlen mention Resident Alien as a funny show. I've watched some episodes of Resident Alien that's pretty good out there. And Ross is saying Babylon 5 can be a hard watch. It's good, and the characters are fleshed out. Blows your mind as it all comes together. Yeah, I also Dune and Dune 2. Do you like the Dune movies?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm there on opening night for the next one, and I hope a bunch of people in our audience are there too. That one is incredible. All right, yeah, I just wanted to hook people on Alien Earth, and then as far as Strange New Worlds, are you caught up on Strange New Worlds?
I have to watch the most recent episode, which I heard really bad things about. So I hope, but I'm going to keep an open mind. But this season has been some really highs, and I think some kind of lows.
Yeah, honest. Well, I mean, that's true of any Star Trek, I suppose. And
yeah, right.
I saw someone in our comments said, didn't it get canceled after season 3? And what I'd heard is they got 5 seasons.
5 seasons, that's right.
And then I'd heard that they're trying to feed it right into a reboot of year 1 of the Enterprise.
Which
back there.
not this most recent episode, but the episode before that, right? Was like a backdoor pilot to it.
Wait, which one?
So I not this most recent episode. Well, it's the one where Kirk, you get a taste of Kirk in command.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, so the thing I just did is I just watched the Menagerie again, parts 1 and 2 from the original series, and I've watched it a couple times, and I've even gone back and watched The Cage because some of the releases of Star Trek have included that. And if you're unfamiliar, The Cage was the unaired pilot of the original Star Trek, with this Captain Christopher Pike as the captain of the Starship Enterprise. He had a female first officer, which was remarkable for television back in the day. And I think Spock was there as well on the crew. And they, as I recall the lore here, is they tested it and tore up some of the pieces and came back with William Shatner as Captain Kirk in place of Captain Pike, and Spock basically as the first officer, and that's how you had this new crew. And phenomenal. If I remember everything correctly, they got through filming that first season, and they had to figure out how can we do a 2-parter episode, string this out in order to fulfill our obligations of creating this many episodes for this season. And they had this clever idea of cutting up the pilot and using its pieces as a story within a story inside of this other show. So I put on the Menagerie the other day, which I know has this whole history, and I marveled at it all these years later. Just it got to the very end, and I'm still like, oh, like I still didn't remember the little bit of twists that were coming and how beautiful this is. And it all ties in together with what they're doing today with Strange New Worlds. And to your point, right, our fans of Trek might, there was a singing episode, right? Like
there was.
You could get lost at that. You're like, I can't do this. My brain can't do this. There was no sing. They were fighting around with, like, they all lost their minds within the second episode or something, like naked time and the other one. Right. It's always been ridiculous on some level, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
and they're leaning on that.
Arlen is mentioning the Sci-Fi Channel's Dune from 25 years ago, being the best Dune version. I love that version as well. I was hooked on that. Oh, and Sci-Fi Channel. Do you remember the shorts that were on Sci-Fi Channel back in the day? I think David Lynch filmed one. There was the one that's haunted me. Did you watch Sci-Fi Channel back in the day?
I did. Oh yeah.
Do you remember the one where the fish reeled in a human they're like sitting there fishing, and there's an apple sitting there on the shore, and they grab the apple, bite into it, and then they're suddenly pulled into the water by a fish who's reeling them.
I don't
and it was
remember
so
that.
horrifying to me. Oh my God, this is a
so
fever
good.
dream. Please let me know and verify that this short existed back on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day.
You can probably find it on YouTube.
Siegfried saying Alien Earth is okay, and I get that take too. I also have this weird feeling where it's television too, right? It has this feeling of like not being the films we've been trained on being alien. And
I mean, the alien kind of looks low rent, kind of. I mean, it's CG, but it kind of looks like, the budget is not that high on the CG type of thing. I mean, but
yeah, Onikazi is saying you would think they would wait to see how popular it is to decide to carry on or not. But maybe it means they have a plan. Shrug, right? That's the dream, right? Hopefully they do have a plan. And that's what I wanted to go with why I want to talk about Strange New Worlds, in particular, the spoiler. Do you know why I want to bring up Strange New Worlds? It's a specific episode of earlier in this season. I got to spoil it because it is dealing with the holodeck.
Oh, the holodeck. Yeah, right.
There's an episode of Strange New Worlds that deals with the holodeck. I don't think I have to say anything more than that. But the idea that the holodeck is dealt with in that century, that you see it addressed, is phenomenal to me. I loved every minute of that episode. How did you feel about the episode overall?
Yeah, I mean, the premise and the sort of story behind the episode is pretty much the same as almost every other holodeck episode. But I enjoyed the retcon. And they kind of explain why, it's not present in, TOS era. Right.
Yeah. Yes, right, and so it's phenomenal, right? Like it just, and there's been illusion. There was Enterprise. They encountered an alien species that had holodeck type technology. It's been dealt with before, but just I think they can even take this further without spoiling more of the episode, right? I think what they dealt with in that episode can feed into Pike's story in really interesting ways if they really decided to take it that way.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, I could see that.
Pike's story is really interesting on that level, and they could come back to it. I'm also reminded, did you remember Trials and Tribulations on Deep Space Nine?
Yeah. Yep. How they fed into the TOS. Yeah, it was
fun, right? Like I think of it really fondly after all these, but it was also corny too in retrospect. I don't know. Like,
well, the tribbles are corny. Could be.
Yeah, it was a humor episode, right? And
you got to have some of that, right? You have to.
Yeah,
can't be all bleak and doom and gloom.
Let's Arlen, we got to get in with Arlen and our audience out there and their Star Trek simulator that they've been talking about. Arlen is saying that they want a proper generative operating engine, which is an LLM with an operating system and a game engine, all of those things in one. Will we get the software of the holodeck from Star Trek, right? I mean, let me bring this back down to what we do, right? Do you hold the holodeck in the back of your mind as what you want to experience one day?
Yeah, I don't absolutely. I don't think anyone would say otherwise. I, would love a day where I could go into a room and say, I want to visit X and, X and with Y, and it just magically appear. And, there's a whole story that creates out of it. Absolutely. I mean, that would be the end of work.
The end of work. Siegfried wants the Matrix, and that's fascinating out there because
Well, that may be that there's people out there that really do think that we all live in a simulation, and it's starting. Evidence is starting to point that we do. So
I
you
don't
probably
love it.
will get your wish.
I don't love that line of thinking. It always feels like that line of thinking. We've talked about it with Don and our audience, Don and our team in the past with our audience about just doesn't that make morals and ethics in the physical world pretty meaningless? Like, doesn't it justify a lot of bad behavior if you really say that?
Yeah, it's scary, absolutely, but.
Huh? Well, I say that from virtual reality, right? Like, I mean, it's hard for us to be one layer deep, right? While, like, yeah.
Well, think about it. Like, go into any Horizon Worlds popular scene, or world, I guess, and no one has any manners. I mean, it's
Oh, I mean, like, I've got an article, like, it's quite literally, I could walk over and slap you.
Yeah.
And my hand will pass through your avatar. And the only reason I'm like not is, yes, I've got some manners, like I've been trained, but also I want to keep talking to you. Like there's a existing relationship. None of that exists when you get dropped into a stranger portal with two strangers, and it's just like, actually, the reason I'm getting here together, like the reason I'm putting on the headset is to make a bad experience for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that actually becomes an entertaining reason to put on the headset, and it doesn't make sense. Like the whole thing is broken when you get to that level.
Here's what's crazy. Back when I was a youngster, in my teens, I got real into, if you remember this, it was called the Sierra Network, and it was a proto a platform where everybody hung out, VGA characters, heads, and you could play games with people, right? And I was real big into Red Baron, which is a dogfighting World War I dogfighting game from the Sierra that they ported over basically to this multiplayer experience. There was none of what you see today in that. Everybody largely behaved, and it's just kind of sad, right?
Well, it's what I've at some point, tricking the pings that you're sending the server becomes a game that's more entertaining than the game itself, because like it's the equivalent of a cheat code, right? It's you're getting to get access to the cheat menu, and now you're playing a game that no one else is playing. You're playing a game of shooting through walls and auto aiming and all these things that just make the game is now trolling the other players because you've got this cheat access. It's terrible, right? Like we're so far off from like the dream of a peer-to-peer, no latency situation where the moment that I've blasted you with my rocket launcher and watched your avatar fling off into the distance, I actually get to see your face at the precise moment that I've beaten you in the game, react in horror, right? Like I get to enjoy the satisfaction of watching you right across from me react. And right, like that's lost in all sorts of online communication. That game you're talking about back in the day, there's no feedback for like not making it a fun game to completion between the two of you, right? Like you and a random other person, you're on the whole social interaction online is let's complete a whole game together, I would assume.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. Yeah, that's not a game that's being an ass. I mean, yes, but my point is some people play a game on top of the game. And yes, that becomes being an ass to the rest of the community. But like that, I've seen this happen in too many online communities to not see a trend here of just as soon as a community forms, the trolls pop in with every possible conceivable breaking system that not only like breaks the game, but breaks the fun of the game for everyone else. And that I hate it. It doesn't like. That's why I love private room codes. Do you have private codes
We do.
for your
Yeah.
game?
Yeah.
Yeah, good
There's no
design.
repercussions, right? That's the other thing, and there's just no everybody can act however they want, and there's no repercussions, and that's when there's no penalties, then it's
Not suspicious out there. So the Tablecraft, the game we talked about, it's like a Elements learning app for children, where
nice.
he's got a flat screen version of it that you can load up on a companion device, and that flat screen piece is represented in the world. So there's like a link between what's happening in the game with what could be happening in a classroom. And Not Suspicious out there says that the kids playing Tablecraft on flat screens in the classroom would often fly their little characters into the heads of the VR users. We had to give VR users the ability to smack spectators. I love this as well. I wonder, have you ever played with a mechanic where you've let people play this game at different sizes, or like you have a god size person who can interfere with the track, or live?
No, because it's really meant to be a very competitive, everybody's kind of on equal playing ground type of game. But anything's possible.
Let's go to Siegfried's comments here. I want to go back to what they were talking about the Matrix, and maybe we misrepresented what they were saying with the Matrix, but here's their comment on why they like the Matrix. It allows you to have any kind of body and powers you want. Very cool. I also don't want a hole in the back of my head. So that's one of the problems I have with the model of the Matrix as the VR, right? That's why the holodeck was such a perfect setup, right? And we come back to the models for today. Again, I can have a box over there. It could be a PS5 or it could be a PC. I have to use a specific headset if it's a PS5. But if it's a PC, that box over there could be running a room at any time, and I could pick from an assortment of headsets to go into that room with. And until we get, like, have you done a cave?
Played the.
No, a cave room where you're wearing a tracked hat or glasses. You're actually moving around inside of a projectors.
Sandbox VR, right? Where you're wearing.
No. This is a completely different model. So a VR cave would be. So Disney has had these for decades, and they're a model of VR that's just slightly different. The idea is you wear 3D glasses. They could be the glasses that you use for TVs, and then you set up a projector facing that wall, projector facing that wall, projector facing that wall, and that wall. So projectors are pointed at all the walls, and then you track your head movements through whatever system you want, OptiTrack or whatever. So you could wear a hat that tracks your head movements. And then you've got these 3D glasses that are stereoscopically separating a left eye from a right eye, from your right eye as you're walking around this space. And then the system, as you're walking around all these projectors, changes your perspective to match where your head movements are in the room. But you're observing virtual reality on the walls of the room being, all formatted perfectly for your eyes. So you haven't tried that kind of cave, I assume.
No,
yeah.
But I want to. Sounds awesome.
There's certain examples of them in various labs. So Dish was the one I tried, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago now, that Disney had, and you could put a person in the middle of the room, and you could basically do a really good simulation of a ride before it's constructed. And so you could have 4 or 5 people, the executives of the company, all do a dry run of the entire attraction in Cars Land before it was actually constructed. And this was a long time ago now, right? Very cool. But gosh, the cost of that has to have come down
Mm.
extraordinary. I would love to see what a VR cave looked like now if you really wanted to take the projectors to their resolution limits, you take the tracking to its quality. You can do VR from this. I brought up that whole cave situation. It's the closest model to a holodeck that you can manage if you
Yeah.
did all that right. You do a really large room, you get really high quality projectors that are beaming out super high resolution at the walls, and then you come up with this thing called redirected walking where you slightly push a person away from the walls as they're getting close to it. That's how the holodeck theoretically works. And man, like my dream, have you played Half-Life, Alex?
Oh yeah.
So Jeff level, right? The Jeff level
Yep. Yep. Yep.
against, like, I did we all experience actually backing up against our actual physical wall and pressing our actual bodies up against our own physical wall just to give us an extra 3 inches away from
Yeah.
Jeff as he's going by?
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
It is.
How does that equate to a ghost? Like, we play a game like Phasmophobia,
Mhm.
and there's triggers when you go into different rooms, and the ghost, it's a terrifying moment when that ghost is chasing you, right? But I still have yet to see someone really play with the mechanic of, like, you need to hide under a desk and the ghost slowly goes by and maybe it creeps and looks under sometimes. Like, there's so much logic that they could layer in for VR horror games, and with just getting close to you before doing. Did you play Masquerade? That's the vampire game from, I think it's Masquerade.
I know. Yeah. Vampire Masquerade, I think.
Yeah, the vampire game from Shell Games. I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking of the title, right? Give me the title in the comments. I'm not remembering it, but it was almost like Operation with a vampire.
Yeah. That was a Masquerade. That was. I know what you're talking about. Yes, where you were. Yeah, you were. It was dissecting kind of like a vampire, right?
Oh, but brilliant design. I love it when devs come up with amazing combinations, and I can't wait. I can't wait for Super RC to show our audience this combination you're coming up with off-roading. Like, how many track types do you have?
Do you have that image I sent you with the hobby shop stuff?
Yeah, I've got this one. I don't have the ones if you sent another one today. I've just got. Are you able to see that one?
This is the track creator. Still.
Oh no, the track creator is gone from me, and it's showing the hobby shop with the helicopter up here, showing the three those crawlers.
Yeah, those are crawlers. Okay, so you
the
do
three
see
crawlers.
That.
Yeah.
So that's something that's releasing post launch. And it's off-road slow methodical off-road driving along there you go. So an obstacle course, this is in the hobby shop, this is what you see, but in the actual game, when you buy the crawler, comes with all of these pieces that you can build your own crawler courses and drive with friends on, challenging them, as well as some single player stuff where we've created crawler courses and task you to complete them. And it's very slow. It's not at all like traditional racing, and very methodical to try to drive these off-road all these off-road pieces.
Yeah, I appreciate the context there. It's what a beautiful illustration, right? I can see just from this single photo, right, how different it's going to be to drive on that kind of terrain. So wonderful. And I'm seeing Siegfried mentioning Silent Slayer was the title that I was talking about there. Silent Slayer was like the Operation in VR game. And yeah, fantastic idea executed by them out there. Really, 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 really neat.
When you and I played that, when you got a taste of like, when you and I were in that, you had brought up how sort of the presence was there. Like you felt that this neighborhood was, something that you had been in before.
Yeah, it does. I really did love that feeling. Well, it did. Like, so I specifically, I was talking about the suburbs, I think, when I felt
Yeah.
that way. And so he's got this environment where it's just a flat suburb. You've got the bright sun shining down sort of starkly on the rooftops, and this street that has no cars on it anywhere, and except for these little RC cars that you're bringing yourself and the pieces that you want to build a course out of. And it calls back, it's almost like, I don't know why, like lighting gets ignored. And there's so many choices when you're choosing lighting that go unnoticed. Walkabout is one of our favorite examples over here, where they've got multiple artists that are baking lighting in and surprise, like doing special lighting at the very end and trying to surprise us with it. But like putting lighting on a texture and trying to fool us into believing that's dynamic is a lot of the artistry of VR. When I'm thinking about what your world reminded me of like a filmmaking technique that is often used to overexpose memories, sometimes in to give it a retro feel. Something that's how bright this suburbs area was. Now, going back to this whole thing, suburbs, blank street. You've got this all these pieces to use around, and you've got a friend in the room with you, and the two of you are ready to go. Oh, I'm going to build a ramp. I want to build a ramp that goes from this house to this house,
Hmm.
right? And like you can imagine a summer, a childhood summer from ages, I don't know, 6 to 15,
Yeah.
right? Across America and maybe anywhere in the world. I just have the model in America for doing this. Where like you've got the friend down the street
Yeah.
and you're going to build a ramp of dirt to fly. It could be or it could be a Hot Wheels car off of, or it could be a dirt bike, right? Like it could be anything in between. And that's the summer of many childhoods, even when like you don't have anything to build with, right? Like that's the magic of what I'm describing. There's a childhood of imagination there where you're just messing around in the front yard or backyard, and you've got your neighbor over there doing dirt or running a dam. I would love someone to make a dam, a waterways game. Like, can you imagine just digging your finger through mud
Mm-hmm.
and making the water go in different paths and dam it up in different ways? It would be really, really neat to have a game like that. Someone build it, please. Um, but like, yes, the summer sense of just being on a street, messing around with another person and not having to worry about another car coming around that corner
Yeah.
disrupting my play.
Yeah.
It's a weird extra sense of safety that I've got in VR from your software design, where it's like, yeah, a car could come around that corner, but you've made the street long enough that uh, even if it did come around the corner, I would have plenty of time to move all my cars out of the way.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how to describe that artistic choice having that effect on place for me, other than talking it out with you, right? Like I just got in there when I said, yeah, this, I feel really present, like a summer day here. Like it's really fantastic. But we don't have devs and users don't have conversations like this about art and why you make certain decisions the way you make them. This is a good transition to talk about a couple conversations I've sort of alluded to. And how old are you?
48.
I'm 40. I don't like asking people their age anymore at all. I think it's an unfair question. That it's almost it's like a question that indicates I'm trying to tell a story based on your age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the reason to ask as a journalist. And so I resist asking that question as often as I can, right? And so now I'm going to make the story age, right? Like I feel bad about that. We shouldn't We shouldn't do that. There can be 20-year-olds that are super into VR. There can be 70-year-olds that are super into VR. I don't want to put anyone in any specific bucket because they're a specific age. But I've had conversations with two amazing artists in virtual reality. Amazing artists in virtual reality. One artist, his name is Don Carson. He is an art director at Walkabout Mini Golf, and I have talked to him enough on the record in our tours that we have on our channel that I almost have his entire journey scoped out of understanding how he became a fan of this video game in COVID lockdown to becoming one of the art directors of this game 5 years later. I've got that whole story here on our website. Then I talked to Kevin Mack, and Kevin Mack is in his 60s, and he made Namuanki, which is a VR chat world that I recommended on download. I'm going to recommend it on here. Namuanki, I think is his name. Namuanki over over in VR chat. Namuanki, I've got that whole tour also on our channel. The thing about he's got a couple other projects out there. Blortasia, I think is the name of one of them. And I remember first meeting Kevin Mack at some event with Unity. I think it was maybe their maybe I talked to him over email at some point, but then I met him, and he had one of these experiences running on either it was Gear VR or Go. It was a very simple 3DOF experience, and it's a psychedelic. Imagine you're just floating in midair, and you're moving forward through space, and it's just blobs of different colors forming around you, swirling into different colors, and they've got kind of movement to them. These blobs do, and you spend about 2 minutes in the space, and you just sort of lose yourself in the psychedelic wonder that he's bringing to your eyeballs with a VR headset. Fantastic work out there. And he's constantly exploring what he can do with graphics cards at the high end.
Mm-hmm.
Both these people, Don Carson and Kevin Mack, I could give you long careers of where you can find their names. Kevin Mack, you will find his name in the credits of special effects, visual effects for a whole swath of 90s movies that you and I probably watched and loved. And then Don Carson was a former Imagineer. And both these folks are older than us and have created some of the most serene, safest, most beautiful places for people to just be themselves or with themselves inside of virtual reality, right? And I struggle to make the general public understand that exists, like that these places are individually like just amazing escapes for a person. I don't need another person to go into this Namuanki place and talk to me. It's cool when they do. It's even better when they do. But like, you can go to VR and enjoy it all by your lonesome in lots of these places, and they're fantastic for that. Everyone in our audience is now popping in with their ages. And VR Gamer Dude, Don, is mentioning Namuanki got covered in our series of VR chat. We've gone through those VR chat worlds over time and tried to spotlight how beautiful they are for even people who don't have PC VR systems to understand. The reason I'm bringing up those two stories of these two artists, right? Don Carson is employed at Mighty Coconut building virtual worlds for us today that will open 2 years from now, right? Like they've just started building courses and molding them in their workflow, and it's 2 years out. That's amazing. I'm going to keep following it. The other guy, Kevin Mack, he's kind of noped out of VR over the last 2 years. His PC VR headset is still sitting there. I asked him what graphics card he's running. He's got a 30 series on his PC, and he was planning to go into that VR chat world we were talking about, the one I've mentioned, the very day I called him up to just ring him on the phone and ask him about VR and whether he's doing anything recent. And we had a beautiful discussion about AI, and he's using AI in his art these days. And he decided shrewdly, I suppose, to focus on using AI to reach as many people as he could in the time he has left as a creative artist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I got you. I got the out of you. We're of an age where we start feeling mortality coming in. And if you've been at this for as long as you have, when did you first feel the VR bug again? What year?
I guess it was 10 years ago. Yeah, 11 years ago. Yeah.
So 1/4 of your life you've spent trying to build worlds for a market that you've been waiting to show up for you. And that's a significant segment of time to devote to a technology. And we're still like, where's 100 million people? Where is the market to keep you going? It's a very, very, very tough situation. I recommend going and checking that VR chat series out there. I bring it up. I bring this up just these are two stories of two, like, Kevin Mack gets the ability to have exited our industry a little bit for the last few years and explain why it wasn't working for him. He couldn't reach the eyeballs he wanted to reach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the truest, like, that's real talk. Like, you must feel that in your bones at some point, right?
Yeah. So much so that I really want to. So I worked on, I was design director on the original Saints Row for the 360, and you know, it's sad to see that franchise kind of in the grave right now. And I think I'm really going to try to see about bringing it back in an interesting way, even for VR.
Interesting.
And try to. It's going to take a lot of work. A lot of work because I don't own it, right? And I got to convince, it's going to
be. Say the series again.
Saints Row.
Saints Row. So talk to me about Saints Row. What is the joy of Saints Row? Those titles never got me.
Yeah, it came out for the original 360. It is sort of a GTA type of game, open world. It focused on gangs. The original one did, and it was kind of a playful, non all that serious take on it, a bit of a satire, if you will. Right. We had, just an example of like sort of the tone that the first game had. We had a fast food restaurant you could go buy food from and eat it. Right. And the fast food restaurant was called Freckle Bitches. And it was a play on Wendy's. And
and that's awful. And it's funny. Yeah. I love it.
It's okay. And today, yes, we did stuff back then that you would just get,
Yeah, you canceled 3 times
my
over
gosh.
for
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's
funny to think. I mean, like Saints Row 1. You're saying, so what year are we talking that game hit?
It came out in 2006, so nearly 20 years ago.
And so it's ripe for the that's almost the right time, at least from what I understand, for a Team Beef adaptation, right? Of taking this original world and getting it ready for VR if someone really wanted to.
I want to make a prequel. I want to make a prequel set in the 70s that talks about the rise of the original gangs in Saints Row, and so you get to revisit and get to experience all of the characters that you loved in their young versions, and it's open world, and you're it's all in VR, right? It's all in VR.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Chris out there is saying that they worked on Saints Row for PSP. It never got released. We had some wacky stuff planned for it. Savage Entertainment.
That. Yep.
Dunadim saying Gear VR enthralled many people in 2015, and people bought Samsung Galaxy 7S just to use it. Yeah, I got the Note. I was there getting the Innovator Edition Note for the Gear VR and trying out rooms and running down your battery the moment. Like the remarkable thing about it was I was still an iPhone user primarily back in that day. And so I went and got a Samsung, another line essentially just to carry this whole thing. And so like, I'm not even using this device as my main carry, right? And I'm still feeling the battery burn of putting the headset
Yeah.
into the device and going, wait, now I'm at 30% after enjoying VR for 20 minutes. This is not a good model for how do I pass battery through? And here we are, and I'm still messing with the same thing on my Quest. I'm trying to figure out how to get battery, keep this thing going for 3 hours as we talk in VR. Goodness, yeah. So a 1970s Saints Row open world. And I mean, do you get open world out? Do you think you can get open world out of VR? And
I think it's possible. This would be a Quest 4 game, I think. But by
a Quest
then,
4 game,
absolutely.
yeah. I love all the ages in our audience. We love to see where people are watching us from, right? We come to VR from places. We come to VR from times, right? Those are the things we always love to get in our audience because it helps this conversation a little bit. Yeah. So, you're playing it in what? You're playing the first person, third person in this version?
First person
the whole time, and
the whole time.
Do you have driving vehicles?
Absolutely.
Flight?
Yep.
Do you have flight?
We'll see. But in the first one, there was no flight. I think you can get away with not having flight because there's not very many, if any, VR sort of open world, like, that type of GTA type of game, right? So
Siegfried, he says they're watching from Fort Worth, Texas, and I wanted to go back to Siegfried's comment about the Matrix and having all these powers. Have you played with the mixed reality capabilities on the Quest lately, or even the Vision Pro? Like, have you tried? Do you do any freehand art? Do you draw by hand, or is it you're not an artist, right? You're a
I'm
technical
not an artist,
person.
no.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it.
Same thing, right? I've got the same exact mindset. I booted up 2 apps, Contour on the Quest 3, so I recommend that one to go check that out. And then on Apple Vision Pro, the app is DaVinci Eye, and you take Contour. One of them is it just had a map of the United States was one of the options. I went to the map of the United States, and it had the whole grid of the 48 states, and then you have this grid, and you take your controller and line it up to your desk, and the map of the United States now is right here on this piece of paper right in front of me, and I am able to resize it just right, deform it until it fits on the piece of paper. And then I took my pencil. I actually bought a pencil sharpener, an electric pencil sharpener this week in order to sharpen pencils. So I'm sharpening my pencil so that I get a better sketch as I go over this piece of paper and outline right on top of it. I've got a sketch of the 50 states, of the 48 states, with the Alaska and Hawaii over here. And I did it entirely by tracing what the headset showed me on the Contour app. And I could have done that on an iPad. I could have done it with a Wacom tablet, but I did it on a piece of paper right in front of me, and it worked. And so there's that. There's Immerrock, I think, IMMERIROCK. They're trying to do music learning on with a guitar. You've got Piano Vision, where you can do it with piano.
Yep.
None of these things, this is this thing I just described as the coolest thing I've done. My wife actually got me a 3D doodling pen that extrudes 3D plastic, just like a 3D printer, but it's a pen, and I've printed things the same way. I've sketched out by hand, and I've got a 3D object over there. It's not quite the same as Siegfried. I think it was Siegfried talking about the Matrix. I could be mixing up our commenters there. Not quite the same as I know jujitsu, right? Or I know karate, right?
But you're getting close.
We're close, right? I could not have freehand drawn the United States like that. If the picture was up there for me to look at as I did it, I don't think I could have done it. And now you're just talking hours of practice, right? Now you're just talking about which experts you bring around to help you, guide you on how you're actually doing. I got great advice by just sending videos of me doing this to an artist who said, keep this in mind as you're going around drawing things. it's magical. You can do so many things. Someone is mentioning Stencil VR. I need to go check out Stencil VR. I think. Uh, Not Suspicious bought a foldable 88 key keyboard for Piano Vision. We are not alone out there. And they're going to learn some piano songs. We're all the same people. I talk to devs out there who have offices where it's the cleanest office you could possibly imagine. And then sitting right there is their keyboard for work. Right here, the typing keyboard, but right behind it is another keyboard right there, and you can see that the dev is doing the exact same thing. Myself and Not Suspicious out there are doing is all we're doing is we're waiting for the software to get good enough so for us to play Beat Saber on the piano, and and we're there, right? Like I think the cameras need to get a little bit better to recognize a little bit finer movements between the fingers. It needs to auto lock and auto size all of the keys a little bit more accurately. That's what I need personally. But man, it's so close. It feels so amazing. Let's see in the comments here if there's anything.
I mean, just think about it. 10 years ago, there was no standalone VR. There was none of this. None of this existed.
Yeah,
how technology has advanced in such a short time frame is nothing short of amazing.
And VR Gamer Dude out there is looking at a drone because of Skyrunner, the game, and the connections are real. Like I think people assuming that real physical connections die because you get a good approximation of it in VR don't follow the whole flow of social interaction across VR inside and outside. Have you ever made a friend in virtual reality?
I guess you.
Yeah, I mean, like
when we got on our AVPs, and that was like eye opening.
Yeah, I showed you. It was eye-opening for me, too, because I've actually talked about it with James, one of our audience members. He's one of the only, he's an AVP owner out there as well, and he's on the latest beta, and we were actually able to share screens. And on our show yesterday, the VR download, we talked about, I think you can share YouTube videos on Quest, so hypothetically, we could pull up YouTube together and watch that and have that streaming while we're in here, or in the home space of the system. But I love that you've brought up like the face-to-face contact we had, right? We began our interaction. So I mean, like, I think let me describe how UploadVR has evolved, I guess, a little bit for some people who might not be familiar. We've had team members like David Jagno and Jamie Feltham, who are incredible writers, incredible members of this community, doing incredible articles about virtual reality, but they went on to do other things. And so we've had new people join our team and become the voice of how we cover things over time. And we've had to train them up and get them to be ready to talk in front of this community in different ways about VR. And we've got a small team. We've always had a really, really small team, but we have a voice that we've maintained collectively over that time. And one of the things was, I think it was Jamie wrote the review of Ultra Wings 2, was it?
Yeah.
And at the time, we wanted to label games as essential when we pointed out that, like, this needs to be in your library, and it needs to be on. If it isn't in your library, you still kind of need to understand what it's bringing to the table and why, in order to, like, participate in, I don't know, taking this forward. And so, like, that's what we were. That's what we thought of when we were thinking about this essential label, and it was applied to Ultra Wings 2, right?
Yeah, and very few of the games back then were given essential rating, right?
Yep.
You could probably count them on maybe two hands, and that was it.
Yep, and yes, and that was all by design. It was all planning to try to say, okay, you've already got a bunch of fluff and bad projects in the market in 2018, 2019, 2020. Let's apply this label to just a handful of projects so that we can say, hey, everyone here, this is one you should go focus on. And we did that for Ultra Wings 2. And it also, as I understand it, it helped like give you something to focus on as a dev on how do I do this again? Like, am I misunderstanding how you thought? How did that affect you, I guess, is the question.
Wow. I wear it as a badge of honor. And not just because, I considered it highly coveted. I wasn't expecting it. But, also, the other VR website gave us a 9 out of 10. So it was along the lines of like, okay, not just one, but like two, right? Gave us almost, one would be considered a perfect score and one pretty close.
Yeah.
And it just gave us an incredible sense of pride, I guess. No joke, Ultra Wings 2 was probably up until that point my most favorite project ever worked on. I guess gave us validation for what we put together. We thought it was a technical marvel. Quest 2 at the time, open world, fly between the islands, no loads ever. Such a sheer number of missions and variety of gameplay, right? That you just didn't ever experience before. And more importantly, it was an aircraft game. I like to say game. It was an aircraft game. Those don't really exist. You could probably say Ace Combat is an aircraft game. It's not a simulation. But it really captured what makes VR special.
I love that. And so what I'm hearing is we as a publication saw your effort, and let other people know that we saw your effort, right? Like it's not just us seeing you, it's us letting everyone else know that we see you as well. And oh yeah, I'm off the Stevie. Yeah, I'm leaning back. The one problem I've noticed, David has this studio tuned for a seat height. I switched chairs a while back, and it's a little bit lower than the chair I normally appear in the studio in, and then I can lean back here. Let's try.
Right.
Refresh.
Yeah,
all right, better
just
there.
to comment, Chris mentioned you're reminding me to go back and play. Yeah, I think we made almost too big of a game. We did make too big of a game. It's enormous. I would, if you go back and play, just try to make a beeline and play through the campaign, the combat stuff. The combat stuff is sublime. It's chef's kiss. It really is like just amazing. If I had to do it over again, I would make it two separate things. You could do one thing or the other. You didn't have to do one thing to access the other. So if you just wanted to do combat, you could go through the combat. But if you wanted to do the other stuff, you can do it on your own. You could finish all the combat and then go do the other stuff. It's kind of what I'm getting at.
I love that. And gosh, there's so many questions to go with business wise. Like where's Ultra Wings 3 and what was needed for it, right?
Yeah.
Like why not?
Okay. So we thought about it. I guess we wanted to kind of take a break to make another one, to make a different game. Here's the so there was a game series that came out on Quest that rhymes with Star Lanes. That outsold us probably 10-1. And it was incredibly demoralizing. I just want to be upfront and honest. Now we're getting to real talk here. Just demoralizing because, man, it was puddle deep. And the only thing they beat us on was they looked real. Right? They looked real. but in terms of gameplay and depth and all that, I mean, we ran I mean, just I know I'm biased, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to trash talk, but man, you put in apples to apples comparison gameplay wise, and we just run circles around pretty much any aircraft game on the planet. Again, not simulation game. But man, they destroyed us in sales, and they came out with others, and they just ran circles, and we were just like, just demoralized. And then we were talking to Meta, and Meta was like, you know, you guys should make something else, kind of thing, and we just started making something else.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry I put you on the spot. I found the button, right? This is the hard that's hard. What you just described, to have to respect another developer and their work at the end of the day, right? Like that dev and whoever is taking your genre away from you, essentially. Like you could compete, you just don't want to, right? Like that at the end of the day, right?
I like to make games with real depth. And not just not just visual visual pieces, I guess. But that the audience wants that, and I just that's cool. But it's just kind of not. I'm not really in it totally just for the money, right? I'm in it to make real games.
There it is. That's real talk, and I hate to think that someone might clip out what you said and send it to that dev, and they think you're being nasty, because I don't think that was the intent of what you were trying to say, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there. I want to. Demoralizing is a real thing for a dev to experience, right? How much do you think the platform? I
respect that series. I respect what they did. They obviously knocked it. They made a lot of money off of it. They found an audience that we just that we couldn't find in terms of the reach. And I know why. I understand it. I don't want to copy them. I'm not into cloning them.
Yeah. And so you went a different way, and no one has done an RC car. No one has done an RC car at the level that you're trying to do it at, right? And that's why we're having this conversation. That's why you should probably think about doing a wish list here to support it, because I'll repeat it again for our audience: hit the like button, share this link out with other people. But devs are, they've got the winds blowing against them right now. They need actual human people to push through the algorithm and help others understand the depth of the work here, right? It's a dev that's worked multiple years in this project and has this previous game that is super well loved and should be noted for its quality and its attempts to focus on just being a good game, right? But you have to work as members of this community to kind of spread the word of projects you think are interesting. This conversation, the stuff that Chris just shared, I will invite anyone from any dev studio that has made an impact on the store to come and have this conversation, to understand that it might be eye-opening to other devs to understand that their spot on the store actually denied someone else's spot on that store. And that's just business at the end of the day, right? On one level. But it's also like, this is not a big community either, right? Like these are actual real people on the other ends of these developer accounts, even when sometimes they might not be, right? Like you could set up a company pretty easily and not have a real person at the other end of the development email address, but that's not the case over here. Chris Richardson saying graphics sell. It's a sad fact. I'm curious if the other series had more playtime. And the game is Super RC. You can find the trailer in the description. I think the wishlist page is down there as well. Not Suspicious saying this is a great conversation. So thank you for reinforcing that. Do encourage other devs to get into this conversation over time. Demoralizing. Yeah. That's something that's experienced by many devs over many years, and it's not it's not just VR, right?
No,
I you talked about becoming feeling like you'd made a friend in VR. Did you feel like you'd made a friend in Jamie, in just him talking to you about his game? Did he ever talk to you about the game prior to it coming out? Like, or how did that conversation go?
I didn't know. I gave him an early build to. Well, I guess when we announced the game, or there was a showcase that you guys did, I gave him access to it, so he played an early before release build to do like a hands-on preview. But I didn't know anything about the review up until we saw it. We saw it on the site.
Yeah, so it's a surprise moment for a dev in many cases, and like, not suspicious out there doing Airspace Defender and Tablecraft and this new game. We've got a hands-on out there with it just out yesterday, and like, I don't know how to evolve our essential labels and our reviews going to the future, because I have to stand between you, a dev, and our readers
Yeah.
in giving them a biased take, but a take that doesn't take into consideration too many of your feelings
Yeah. Right.
when they're going and assessing this software as a project for people to go and download. I have a hard time thinking, how do we, like, I've got my favorite games. Don in our audience has his favorite games. We've got our favorite games that we've put on our website that we've brought down over the years from games that have been played, Ultra Wings 2 and Half-Life Alyx, all these great games from the early days. But like, are we really telling people in the year 2025 that, I don't know, the best game to go get is something that came out in 2016 on
Right.
PC?
Right.
Like, what is this? What is this market, right? And so this is that long-winded way of saying, like, I don't know, Chris, do you want to talk about how many wish lists, how large your wish list is so far?
Yeah, I think right now it stands at over 1,000.
We don't know. Neither of us know if that's a good number, and but it is a number, and it's a number that we've played some part in debuting your trailer last week,
Yeah.
in continuing this conversation this week, and honestly, like, like, let me think of the analogy. The analogy here is pretty messed up here. As a journalist, sometimes when I started out, I was at the Orange County Register, where that was the local newspaper to Irvine and that area south of Los Angeles near Disneyland. They cover Disneyland. They cover some of the biggest companies in the world. That was where I started covering technology. And the path from there to now, like, that's Oculus was a local company, and I got to cover that whole journey. Hold on a second. Let me look in the comments here before I come back to this. Yeah, Don in our comments saying, I would rather play Microsoft Flight Simulator 24 on my 4090 because it looks real, i.e. virtual reality. But that's not the game Chris was making. Like, that's not Ultra Wings 2.
No.
It was all favoring different things, right?
Yeah, Ultra Wings, you can't really. It's not a fair sort of comparison. Ultra Wings is a game, right? It's a flight game. It's not a flight simulator. It was never positioned as a flight simulator. We just felt that we wanted to take the best. Let me. How do I put this? We call it a low elevation flight game. We felt that if you ever fly a plane in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I have, in at low elevations, a few hundred feet off the ground, a few thousand feet off the ground, you're going to crash, and you're going to crash real quick because you're going at speeds that no human can really have the reaction time to navigate around the terrain, right, or buildings and whatnot. We felt that flying at 30,000 feet is cool, but as a game, not so cool. right?
Yeah.
We think the topography of the islands of the world is just as important in a game. It makes everything makes our planes go a lot slower than real life, but when you're low to the ground, they feel like they're going just as fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a funny effect with the Mario Kart. Did you ever play with the Mario Kart home circuit racers?
yes,
Love those, but those things go really slow. But when you're running on your Switch, it looks like they're going pretty fast. I love that
exactly.
effect. Back to the thing I was saying about being a journalist this long. So I got started reporting about tech, but occasionally we would pull a weekend shift where we had to come in on the weekend and then call every cop bureau in the county and say I'm from the local paper and needed to see if anything newsworthy happened in the last 8 hours of your shift. You call up all the cops basically all around the entire county and find if there's news. Occasionally something awful would happen on this weekend shift and you would get sent out by an editor to go cover it. So it'd be a car crash. It was just one weekend shift for me. A car crash where multiple people were killed, and then my assignment was to go to the front doors. They found the addresses. Another reporter on the team got the addresses of the people that had died. They got the names from the cops. And my job was to go to the neighborhoods and see if anyone knew them, to see if go door to door, right? And the thing about that is like, as a journalist, even me as a career, like picking this as a career, you get to a Saturday shift like that and you start questioning why you're doing this job. Like, why am I going to the front door? And you realize, actually, this person has died. And this is the last opportunity for the world to hear about their contributions to the world, who they were. So you walk up to a front door of a person who's died and you say that to a family member in maybe slightly better terms than I just chose right there, then you might actually end up inside a front door and talking to them and getting that story for your audience. I've seen journalists do this. I say that as like, you're walking up to a front door where the person who's died may have been responsible for the accident that killed 2 other people. And you're talking to the family members and they're trying to process all of this, right? I can't even now I'm covering the launch of your game, right? Like we've gone from that seriousness to the launch of your game. And covering the launch of your game isn't quite so serious when I think about it in that context. At the same time, all right, your livelihood, your future, the next few years of your career are going to be determined by how many people convert from wish lists to purchases, are they not?
Yeah, certainly. It's a lot at stake.
A lot at stake, and I am the reporter, coming up to observe it. Whether your RC game gets a whole bunch of expansions or just has to sort of sit out there when it launches and not get updated. I think that's the tragedy of this market, right? Like maybe a couple of years ago, did you think there was did Walkabout find a window in the market with which it could build this DLC ecosystem and then did that disappear for everyone else? Like, could you not build that today?
Good question. They certainly did find a business model that supported like just building unlimited amount of tracks. I mean, not tracks, unlimited amount of courses. And they got sponsors and they got different themes and all that. And shout out to them because they're here in Austin. And that's where I live. And I've met them a few times, and they're super nice people. And so, I mean, it's really quite amazing. And our hope is kind of something similar with this, where there's just the sheer number of cars that you could do. is almost unlimited, and the hope is that we put out more cars and new gameplay is associated with those cars, and so there's kind of something for everyone. Is the hope.
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, to bring this all home, right? And I hope when I have you back again, are you willing to do this next week again?
I can. I love it. It's a phenomenal. I have a good time.
I'm having a great time too, and that's I love talking. These are real talks. These are real discussions. Let's see.
But next week we'll I could show some other things on Super RC just a little bit, but I love the different topics and that sort of back and forth, right? It's just awesome. It's so much fun.
I need to encourage our audience to ask probing questions. If there's a good question here in our audience that might spark something, I will bring it up and we can get into this. And we're going to bring in other devs over time. I want to get, we don't have to do 2 hours each time. You can come in for 25 minutes and we could talk about one specific thing, pop out, and then we'll have someone else for the show. And where I'm getting at with all this stuff regarding like wish lists and conversions, and me being a journalist, right? I wish you the best as a human, right? At the end of the day, I'm hoping to provide a data point for myself, for our audience, for you, right? In you revealing your wish list so far, and hopefully over the coming weeks, we'll know what kind of an impact we can have, and also how many of those wish lists do convert to sales.
Yeah,
and we can start maybe opening up some of these.
How the sausage gets made.
Yeah, these things shouldn't be secret, right? These things should be data points that help one another. So, we've got this ongoing conversation with Not Suspicious out there in our audience, where they've got 3 projects now that are all really, really interesting. And the Tablecraft, I encourage you to go check out. If you haven't checked it out yourself, I would love to talk about it with them and with you. But this idea of the domed projects, they've clearly you've gone all in on fully immersive virtual reality, but they're picking what if the volumes thing is the way that it is the model of the future. So they've got 2 ideas that sort of sit inside volumes right in front of you, and they're built around hand tracking. It's the complete opposite end design-wise choices from what you're making, and boy, the 2 of you should talk, right, about those choices, right? So we'll keep that going. I think I'll ask you to pop out now and have Don pop in here, VR Gamer Dude, and we will continue our conversation. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, pop out right there. Don will probably come here in a few minutes. Bring those questions in. We will get into the back part of this show with Banners and Bastions from Not Suspicious and No Man's Sky, and I think we'll talk a little bit about Deadpool. Yeah, and just going into the future, this is how I want to do things with VR Sideload. What are we doing in VR? Why are we doing it? Let's talk about art with artists who make it. Very simple. And we need more people to talk about these things openly and more often. Looks like Gamer Dude is jumping in with us in a minute. Not Suspicious still out there at the 2-hour mark of this show. Let us know if you have any questions and hit the like button, please, to tell the algorithm that we're talking about VR on a Friday. Friday is a good day, I think, for shows like this. Let's see. This is still
Hello.
Gray. Hello, Gray Don.
Hey, I'm Greg. Yes, I am Grey Don. Hello.
Long time no see.
Yes, it's been a while. It has been a while. Hey, hold on. Let me find my headphone here so that you guys aren't getting bleed back here. There it is. Wow, I'm so tall.
Yeah, and I'm shorter. I'm an inch down, and that's why
A little short
I have
for
some
a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, thank you to Chris for the great chat and Not Suspicious for tuning in. Let's talk about Banners and Bastions.
Man, let's do it. I got to tell you that game has been consuming my existence for the last few days. I as I mentioned in the write up yesterday, Ian, we've talked about this before. Those style of games, the strategy type games, are not usually my cup of tea. I'm not a big RTS or tower defense fan. I'm more of a run and gun, get me in a cockpit, kind of gamer. But something about what Not Suspicious has created here has just warped my mind. It's such a simple concept, and it's so snackable and just playable that even a person like me who's not into that genre, I couldn't put it down. And I kind of ended the write-up with the truth. I killed an entire battery in my headset playing this game, and it wasn't just because I was sitting there recording. It's just I couldn't stop. I just kept wanting to go to the next battle and see what new little spell I was going to get or what new card I was going to pull to get a new troop type. So it was just fantastic.
So Siegfried has brought up the subject a couple times in our comments, and I want to address it. Thank you for bringing all this up on Banners and Bastions. And yeah, again, just to recap, everyone, Not Suspicious in our audience out there is the developer of this game. So if you have any questions about it, let them know. I'm going to lob a grenade right into this conversation and ask Not Suspicious, what would it take for you to port this game to the Play for Dream headset?
Oh yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
I'd like to know what would it take to give Don an APK where he just opens the APK up on his on the Play for Dream headset.
Yeah, you can sideload on that headset. So.
And boom, you've got the.
I'd love to see it. I mean, I really haven't shared a lot of thoughts since I received that headset last month, but it's definitely eye-opening. I mean, and no pun intended in the fact that the pass-through is just super clear. And I mean, obviously you got the Apple Vision Pro, so I mean, you're used to that. Quest has gotten much better over updates. In fact, actually, just this last update, as David reported on, the cameras are so much clearer in the pass-through. But it just doesn't have that 4K per eye micro OLED clarity that I'm starting to get spoiled on. I'm tempted to write an editorial like we talked about, why it's becoming my personal daily driver for PC VR. But being that it's an Android headset, I could see that it would probably be, and I'm not a developer, but and developers, please let me know, would it be an easier path to port from Quest to, say, that headset than from porting to, say, Quest to Apple Vision Pro?
So Not Suspicious out there answering my question, they would have to send us 1 or 2 dev kits of Play for Dream. Their business development person has DM'd them about it, but hasn't replied to my reply. So please, Play for Dream, reach back out to Not Suspicious and
I'll hit him
talk to him about this project. I liked the side loading question of just, I'd like to know technically what is in between Not Suspicious and getting the game across, because that is the whole subject of conversation today. This week, I think, was Android changing some of its policies out into the future. And I don't know, as someone who's believed in VR as long as we have, as a pair of people who have believed in VR as long as we have, that policy change has been in the works for years. Like, it's so obvious that they were going to do this with the Android platform. However, other people are going to do amazing things with Android APKs, even without them being signed by a central authority. It's going to be a really interesting thing to see evolve. But at the end of the day, I come back to this thing across all of our shows, David. What are the roadblocks? What are the roadblocks between Not Suspicious getting their game on more places than? I don't know. I see this game. I see your games being placed. Why can't I play Banners and Bastions in a volume right here, and Airspace Defender in a volume right here?
Oh, how cool would that be? Oh man, yeah, to have dual hands. I'm doing the pinch and doing my missiles here, and putting my troops over here. And
it's funny. I love that. That's, you just nailed it. Why that doesn't exist? Because you can't actively play both at the same time. You need the pause button on one of them, and how does that work at a system level? How does the operating system pause one? Do you pause it, or does the system pause it?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Obviously, to run both apps simultaneously, we'd have to have a lot more processing power as well. So maybe something like Apple Vision Pro could do it, but I doubt right now we're going to see it on standalone.
Yeah, and then that's the model for all this is different. Yeah. Uh, Go watch the VR download where David is discussing the differences between the various architectures out there. We had a whole 40 minutes or something yesterday where we ran
I missed
through
it.
the differences. Yeah.
It's like one of the first ones that I've missed in a while because I was so wrapped up in in Banners and Bastions.
But I mean, not suspicious adding, like he basically explained yesterday why Airspace Defender and Banners and Bastions isn't possible on Android HMDs, period.
Okay.
And like, when will it be? Because at some point I talked to Samsung and they said that, or not Samsung. When I talked to Google way back in the day, they said that they would have support for Unity's polyspatial technology. And I assumed the polyspatial technology would be what would allow multi things. But if the system itself isn't architected for this, then maybe it's a moot point.
Yeah.
So
could be.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know yet. But hopefully soon.
Well, regardless, I still want one of these volumes to be floating on your Play for Dream headset because it seems like it's a match made in heaven.
It is. I mean, like I said, I'm not really going to go into a lot about that headset right now. I'm going to kind of reserve some of those thoughts for when we start putting them out officially.
Yep.
I'm really trying to get to know this one. It definitely, the pass through quality. I would love to see that ultra clarity in any of the current mixed reality apps that we're seeing on Quest. I mean, that's one thing that I will say with that headset right now. Their standalone store is kind of a drought. So there's just not a lot over there. I mean, it's really geared more for PC VR gameplay, wireless streaming. You've got the exclusive monster mode from Virtual Desktop, and let me tell you, that is freaking phenomenal. I mean, the monster mode makes a huge difference, and I'm noticing like no compression or very little compression. It's just a different experience. So,
yep, we will get into that, and let's see.
So we got the progression system here. That's before I had. I'm actually about halfway through most of these now. I'm starting to build up. So
nothing more satisfying than building out those progressions in a strategy game.
Yeah, filling in dots, man. And and it's satisfying too. Like I love dropping the fireballs here. The scorched earth is just fantastic. I mean, every time you think you're out of units and you go, oh wait, no, I've still got a spell, and you just like boom, and you just drop it and just obliterate the entire sector of the map. So it's just fantastic. Not suspicious. I mean, you have really opened my eyes over your last two, releases with Airspace Defender and Banners. I'm loving the dome world aspect. I'm loving the how clean it is in mixed reality, and again, as I mentioned, how snackable. I can drop in, I can drop out. I mean, we need more games like that.
Did anyone from Apple get back to you? Not suspicious, because that's the place I want your games to come home to. So I hope someone from Apple is watching at some point or listening to this podcast. We'll repeat this on multiple issues just to try to catch them when they intersect us. But games like this seem like a match made in heaven. I think when we talked to Not Suspicious Raphael in the past, like they're so carefully picking their constraints for. I don't know. You don't need to take over a person's entire space to give them a good time.
It's very deliberate what he's doing there, and I think it's great. I mean, because you don't. I mean, this type of game. What I loved is that I could, and I love the fact that you can just drag the board around as well. So I'm sitting at my desk, and I've got it right here on my desktop. Okay. Then, I've got a little couch over here in my studio. I want to go get more comfortable. I really want to get into this battle. I just grab the board, just move it over to my couch, just place it exactly where I want it, kind of in my lap, and boom, there I am. I'm back to it. Kind of in between rounds. Speaking of that, I loved also, I'm a huge turn-based fan. Obviously the tower defense genre, these types of things are going to be a little more turn-based. And I loved that. I loved how it gave me the ability to set up the board, get everything ready, and then just hit go, and then kind of watch it all go down and then manipulate it as it was happening. So more turn-based, please. Love turn-based.
Yeah, I was having this discussion with my team, and Not Suspicious, correct me on this, any other devs out there, like on terminology here. We had a debate or discussion on strategy games, and it dawned on me, let's say Arlen is pointing out that tower defense games got their start on like on map
Yeah.
editors years ago. And yeah, the thing that I was going to add there is whenever I play a real-time strategy game, we're talking Command and Conquer, StarCraft, those games, I tend to turn it into a turn-based game.
Yeah, you were saying that.
The way I play it is you build up this monstrous base with Tesla coils or whatever defense systems you can muster, and then you build up a whole army inside the base and you send them in a wave at the enemy, and hopefully that wave damages the enemy's defenses. Hopefully you found a break in the armor, right, so to speak, through their defense lines this time. And that's typically how I end up playing real-time strategy games, is turning them into this wave-based game where I'm sending waves, they send waves, and they're trying to trick me with, now it's an air-based wave all coming this way across the map. Oh, and there's actually a small group of other groups coming this way, and it ends up feeling like almost a larger war. Like you're actually sending thousands of troops over this game.
Well, see, I gotta say, that's actually funny that you mentioned that. That's one of the things I mentioned in my write-up, though, as a person like me who's not really into that strategy. I loved in Banners and Bastions that it didn't become that it was very manageable, you know. And now at first, like you know, we mentioned, I mean, I haven't finished the game. I mean, it could get way harder, you know, as it goes on. But I also want to this actually really opened my eyes. I just saw Not Suspicious here. He says, I was skeptical when Apple went all in on no controllers and volumes, but Airspace Defender and Banners and Bastions have changed my mind. And you know, I was also a pre-release of the Apple Vision Pro, I was a pretty vocal critic online about them not bringing controllers. But as I have experienced more high-quality hand-tracked experiences in mixed reality on Quest, my tune is changing on that a little bit. There are now some games, such as Banners and Bastions, Airspace Defender, you know, a couple of other mixed reality games in that genre that I couldn't imagine playing with a controller. So
couldn't imagine playing with the controller, and amazing how quick that flip was. And that's even before layering hand tracking in, or eye tracking as a pinching or a focusing maneuver. And so you're talking direct manipulation of all the things that are in front of you.
I just using my own hands.
So Gears and Goo is a great idea over on Apple Vision Pro that is in the same idea space as Banners and Bastions over there. I think from Resolution Games, this game over there. And yeah, I'm so appreciative of you reading out that comment from Not Suspicious, because I think it's an important one.
Absolutely.
That it's a dev speaking about their own projects. So there's a little bit of bias in there, having obviously changed their mind on their projects. But I mean, Not Suspicious, you just watched an hour and 45 minutes of me talking to a dev that's created a incredibly deep, rich virtual world with many, many different features inside of it. And they have a really, really high, like, you are more aware than anyone else probably in the VR market of just how different the model is of developing for the type of content you've made, and how you've got no platform to take your content yet. There's so many little.
Oh, you muted.
Yeah, sorry. There's so many little things here. How do you tell the user where the edges of the usable volume are?
Yeah.
How do you tell the user where the pinches are actually starting to be recognized by the game? This is something he's had to do with his app, right? He's signaling that to you.
Yes. And it works beautifully. I mean, you know, now one thing that you kind of brought up a minute ago is that I'm just starting to experience, and again, I'm just going to touch on Play for Dream for a minute, is the pinch and gaze. I have never experienced that as a not Apple user, and it is quite a magical feeling. I would really like to see more apps incorporate that, but even in the OS, I just got to say, it's wow.
Yeah, so think about that market that we're talking about here. I've got one dev on one half of this show that is all in on a multi-year project that's based around controllers And I've got another dev in my comments here saying they were skeptical when Apple went all in on no controllers and volumes. And volumes being almost the exact opposite of a content type, as something that's fully immersive being something that's just bounded within this small little itty bitty space right in front of you. And that's the market that Android XR and Horizon OS are reforming around as we speak, right? So hard for devs to find a market in that reality changing all around them. Apple doesn't have a low-cost device for a gamer to go and get these great games on, so there's not a lot of,
I gotta say, I love this comment from Arlen as well, which I love most of Arlen's comments. Arlen, nice to see you. Bless you, my son. It says XR needs more games like what you've made, addressing Not Suspicious, I'm assuming. MR games are much easier point of entry for people that are new to XR. Full VR is high hill, but I agree. I mean, XR is, again, snackable. It's something I can put in front of you. You're not disconnected from the world. I mean, it's, you're in your own space playing that game.
Why doesn't, so Not Suspicious, I'm also curious to try Pinch and Gaze. Apple should supply you
God, they should.
With that experience. Apple needs to send Not Suspicious on Apple Vision Pro so that they can experience this. It's the right type of content for that platform, and I don't see a lot of devs building, even on the Apple platform necessarily, like a lot of those devs are trying their first time. That this is their first app, is this volume that's right in front of them.
Well, and
not a dev that has 3 existing Quest apps.
Like just hear me talking about it. I'm experiencing it for the first time, and it got my mind racing. And I'm not a developer, but I'm already thinking, man, what could you do with this, and what could you do with that? Imagine if I had a developer mindset and I could actually take those concepts and make them real. So yes, please get these types of headsets on all developers' heads so that they can start experiencing this stuff that they haven't experienced before, and opening their eyes and minds to possibilities that maybe we haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah. So to be clear, on these games, Banners and Bastions and Airspace Defender are both Quest games.
Yes.
You can go buy them from the Quest store right now. It's just the model that this dev has chosen is very similar to the model that Apple has used for its platform. And I think Not Suspicious is on the record with us in the past as explaining, like, they wanted to explore the space of working within constraints. And here's the second project. Speaking just frankly with our audience and with our team, my team pulled a very long day yesterday. And
yes, we did.
Not Suspicious had their game out early in the day. I think those games typically release in the morning on launch day. And we've had this person in our audience, Not Suspicious, Raphael, for more than a year now as a huge watcher of the VR download and our Gamescast shows. So we appreciate you and your ongoing conversation with us and keeping this discussion going across all the different platforms and the ways that we've gotten in there. I recommend going and looking at our view into Tablecraft and Airspace Defender together. That was one of our best streams that we've done.
It really was.
We knock out this, and we have Dawn in VR. It's fantastic. We'd like to get back to that. It's just so hard.
We're going to get there.
This off.
We've got to regroup a little bit, but I think that I would really like to talk about reviving the DevCast thing. So
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I mean, let's see. I've given Tablecraft demos to thousands of folks over the years, from 5-year-olds to 80-year-old venture capitalists. They always struggle with VR onboarding, and MR, even mom can play.
Yeah.
It goes.
That's powerful.
And
I love
that's
that.
the research. That's the research that, like, Andrew Bosworth, I think, has hinted at Meta having, that it's just more acceptable when you begin with the environment. It's just a slower thing. And so what you end up having, this is the reality of almost the market across the across the space, is you're going to have a whole bunch of cool things to interact with when you put on your headset before you actually ever get to a virtual world. Before you go immersive VR and give a world all of your vision, you're going to mess around with things at dollhouse scale. You're going to have toys, tools, 3D models floating around you. And these are great games that are exploring that space. We can't wait to see what you do. So
bring on the augments and
back to my day late yesterday, and I want to walk people through this day, right?
Yeah, go.
David is at his desk covering the news and editing what's coming in from Henry. Henry is out he's out at a physical event.
Yeah.
He's in one country at an event trying out VR experiences and trying to travel. David is at his desk trying to get site news onto in front of you. Don is playing a game and trying to record footage of that game through 4 different methods, one of which records, every single one of which records in a different way. I rode an e-bike out to Queens, and then I filmed a spatial video of my niece playing in the US Open, and I brought it back to this website, and I'm going to try to publish it today, along with headset video that I shot last year for a point of comparison at the US Open. So hopefully on our website at some point today, you will see a video shot by an Apple Vision Pro, video shot by an iPhone 16 Pro of the US Open from the stands, showing you the best at what you can manage from those types of vantage points. And maybe you could do a little bit better than me, but it gives you a rough idea of what you can capture with that stuff.
I saw it last night. I mean, I'll give a little teaser. It's great.
So I bring all that video back. I put that article, and as I'm putting that article together, Don's like, I finished my article on this game, Banners and Bastions. And this is late in the day. We're talking. I'm riding an e-bike at 9 in the morning or whatever, really early in the morning, and then at 7, 8 at night, I'm starting to. I've written my own article about these spatial videos, and I'm starting to edit Don's take on this. And all things considered, right? We would have loved to have our article on this game out at the start of yesterday, so you could have read an in-depth hands-on on Banners and Bastions at the moment that the game was available for you to download. But we don't have a staff big enough to do that. We got to it as quickly as I could. Don got to it as quickly as he could. I got to it as quickly as I could. We all getting to this as quickly as we possibly can. And the thing I'm trying to drill into this team, Don, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong on this, is like, let's spend our time on the things we believe in.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If something speaks to us, I'm not going to tell you to not go and try to raise it up and put it in front of more eyeballs, right? That's what we should be pursuing.
Well, and I think that shows our passions. I mean, it comes through in our writing. It comes through in our performance. I mean, if you're writing about your passionate experiences, things that are really you're into, it's going to come across a lot better.
So let's read what Not Suspicious just said in our audience here. I literally waited until your article was out before I announced the release on socials. Haha, thank you guys.
Man,
I love your coverage in general. Excellent work. I felt bad explaining that to you, right? Like we feel bad that we didn't get the article out at the beginning of the day.
I do. I took a 2-week vacation. That's why I needed it. I hadn't taken a vacation in 2 years, guys. 2 years of working like 10, 12-hour days. I was,
Imagine that, right? And at the end of the day, it's not our place to apologize to you. We're not going to apologize to you. Like it's the business, right?
Yeah.
For not getting it out when you launched. It's really cool that you waited to put out the socials until we put the thing out. But where I want us to all understand and explain this together is like, we're actually all working together against some platform forces that are outside our control to just slow down a little bit, have a deeper conversation about what we're doing in VR, why we're doing it, what's good, what's bad, why it's good, why it's bad, and let's not let algorithmic slop control our conversation for us anymore. Okay, that's the end. Okay, right? Like that's all this is. It's the end of so we got to it when we could get to it. Thank you to Not Suspicious for blasting out your channels and making our push to your push bigger. We try not to provide promises. Like, we may not have covered Banners and Bastions yesterday. We wanted to, but like, all things considered, something else could have dropped in the middle of the day, and we've been like, sorry, we can't.
Yeah, like one that's been kind of a guilty on my mind before I went on vacation was Skyrunner. I love that game. I literally went over my vacation, Ian, and bought a drone because of Skyrunner. Yes, if you're out there watching, I bought a drone because of your game. Because now I want to fly a real drone because I've done it in a VR MR environment. Yeah. And but have I been able to cover it yet? No, not yet. I'm going to, but because I love that game. But but like Ian said, sometimes we just, there's so much going on with such a small team. We have to get to what we can get to. And
yeah, so Not Suspicious, let us know how sales go over time for your game, Banners and Bastions, and we will keep covering that on an ongoing basis. It's funny, like Pistol Whip was a game I don't mention it. It used to be on the bingo card, right? It used to be on our bingo sheet of like something I would. Yeah, we all love the game. It was all fantastic.
Played it with a real pistol?
Oh, I didn't, but I
have.
Yeah,
the M9 replica pistol from Wonder Fitter works with that game, and you can actually literally, and it has feedback. It literally has like, I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It looks like an actual gun. When you fire it, it has physical recoil, not haptics. Like, you feel like you're actually firing the gun, and playing Pistol Whip that way is incredible.
Yep, and I've got among the things I haven't gotten to yet this week, I've got multiple researchers in my inbox. With one of the research projects is on VR side effects.
Yes,
and it's an interesting way of terming like what VR does, right? Like, you could call that VR taught you something a side effect if what it taught you wasn't what you intended to learn.
I love that.
It's really, and so like, imagine for instance, like, all right, there is no space between my hands right now, but the system is showing a little bit of space between my hands. Let's take that a little bit further and actually disconnect it by about 6 inches, right? My hands are actually going to be about 6 inches off from where they actually are. They still respond to everything I do, but now when I reach something right here, I'm actually grabbing something that's 6 inches off from where my actual hand is. All right. Well, if you do that for an hour or 45 minutes, and then you take the headset off, when you reach for things, are you reaching for things in the right spots?
I never thought of that. Oh, wow. Yeah, because you would develop that like temporary muscle memory of thinking that things were a little bit farther away.
So that's a research project that's in my inbox right now from researchers that I'm trying to figure out, how do I explain this to the VR newbie, the VR veteran, the person who hasn't tried VR before. What is this? Because you're describing actually you just went from pulling back a gun that 1-to-1 actually turns Pistol Whip from more of a game into actually target practice.
Yeah, into a simulation. Yeah,
it's getting a little bit closer. And is that why we don't have Pistol Whip 2? Maybe. Is that did the dev make a choice there where they realized this is actually too close to shooting, so we don't get a sequel to this game?
I don't really get that, because it's still very, very cartoony and very I mean, it's not. They didn't go the ultra realistic, kind of like the discussion we were having earlier in the comments with Chris. Realistic graphics versus cartoon graphics. It's a lot easier for me to disassociate myself from that if I'm playing a game that doesn't have that realism factor. Now, however, you put that gun in my hand in Half-Life Alyx, which it also works with, and I'm shooting Combine soldiers, it's a little different.
So Not Suspicious is talking about Tilt 5. So Tilt 5 reached out to us recently. Their founder, Jerry Ellsworth, is awesome. I've never tried their hardware. Curious what it's like. Is Tilt 5 popular? I can't say that it is.
Can't say popular.
However,
I can say cool.
I can't say that it's popular. What I can say is that it's extremely interesting work. They have a route to wide field of view augmented reality on a tabletop that makes a ton of sense. I will say that the model for that particular product seems to be really good with depth, going down, not above a table, below and into a table is what I would like to see out of Tilt 5. So if you can find a way to build your product into a tunnel going down into a volume, or build the volume down in there, and such that I don't think there's hand tracking. They've got the wand, so you have to figure out how to
lighter thing. Yeah.
So I've got Tilt 5 over here. I've talked to Jerry Ellsworth multiple times. I would love to create a way. I mean, Don, all right, let's have some real talk here for a minute.
Let's do it.
About how we do a broadcast. Going back full circle, I need a radio producer to call up a developer and bring their voice into this studio as a voice from wherever they are.
Oh, we can make that happen.
I don't think we need to ask developers to put on a VR headset to bring their voices into our
sitting
studio.
Right here between us as a voice, just talking to both of us.
And so follow part of that, right? This guy, Kevin Mack, right? He did
love it.
Namawanki, right? I don't remember if you remember all the movies he's touched. Okay,
quite a few, but I don't remember them all.
What was he was saying? He I mean, the one that always sticks, it's close to my heart, is he did visual effects, and I think won an Oscar for the effects in What Dreams May Come.
Yes. Oh, that's a beautiful movie. Oh my God.
And the beautiful art,
gorgeous.
Beautiful ideas.
God, so
I love
gorgeous.
it. And he's of an age, of a generation where he just feels natural on a voice call. Like, it's just, that's the natural medium. You're kind of in that boat too.
Yeah, Don? 55. We were talking about age earlier. I'm going to be 55 in 2 weeks, so yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, not suspicious saying I think having Dead's calling in would work perfectly. And so, like, Jerry Ellsworth is a perfect example where we could have her on the TV and she could call us in either on video or on voice or whatever.
We could totally bring them in on video and Stevie. That wouldn't be that difficult.
Well, there's so many neat things. Like, if she could parsec her PC to us, we're done, right? We've got everything we need.
We can make all this happen. We know we can. We've already proof of concept most of it last year, and now we're having internal talk here, guys. But yeah, we can make that happen. Beck even joined in the chat earlier and said she's ready to come back and start producing, and so I think we're getting ready to gear up for more shows again.
Well, I think we gotta figure out categories, or we've got to figure out segments for why.
Yeah.
Like, what's the flow for how we get a div in here in just their voice? But Jerry's a great example, and then Kevin Mack is this other dev who Namawanki's incredible, but like, we got to have a real talk with that dev about why they chose to focus on something else, and that's a beautiful discussion for us to have as an audience, right?
We need Jerry to figure it
back
out.
to Not Suspicious's question on Tilt 5.
And when I have a suggestion, by the way, when you're done. So
I want Tilt 5 to get to a second generation, and I want to see what they could do if you could plug their glasses into the top of the Nintendo Switch 2.
Ooh, yes.
If you could take cardboard that has their reflective material on it, and then plug their glasses or a next generation version of their glasses into a Switch 2, you could have some really interesting toys. Jerry is constantly playing around with where's the fun here? How do I unlock fun with low cost hardware? And it's a really, really interesting product. I actually bought it completely out of pocket. I bought the Tilt 5 kit, 2-person kit, I think is what they were selling at, because they were selling it at an extreme discount for a little while. I'm like, that was my time to say, okay, I don't think there's a market for Tilt 5 as it is right now. I don't think it's very popular. I put my own money into that product to ship it to me, just so I could put it on my wall and have a conversation with Jerry Ellsworth where I said, hey, what are you doing in the future? I bought your product. I don't use it very much, but it's really interesting. And that's that's where we are, right?
I got a chance to try it 2 years ago. I've only ever tried it once, and I was impressed with what they've created there. But like you said, it really is tabletop dependent. I mean, it's size dependent, and really you got to kind of be into that board game kind of. I want to play sitting around the coffee table kind of mentality with it. Now, what I wanted to bring up real quick, because we were talking about alternative places that say Not Suspicious could put his software onto something with a volume, something that would be easily like right here. XR glasses. And I know I preach them. I know David is starting to kind of come around on them because they're starting to become more usable. Okay. With this latest generation of XR glasses, with the X-Real 1 Pro, which I have, and the eye camera, which I also have, I now have 6 DOF. And I have about a 52-degree field of view. In October, we're going to start seeing glasses like the Vitcher Beast. And that is going to be the first XR glasses, be birdbath or not, with a 70-degree field of view. Okay, and 6 DOF tracking. So when we get to something like that, I could easily see mixed reality experiences such as Airspace Defender, Banners and Bastions, something that does that smaller volume that floats right in front of me, being a perfect fit for that technology.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
we have our
you know where I
differences on
think
that.
about that, but the loss of transparency there is going to be hard on some of these games. But let me go back to Not Suspicious question on Tilt 5. So the last time I used Tilt 5 was with my son last year, I think it was. I hooked up 2 pairs of the glasses to one PC, and then I pulled up one of the sample projects that they've got available on just the distribution platform that they've got for Tilt 5. It was a multiplayer game, and then I think it was basically using, I can't remember the controls, but it was maybe the analog stick on the wand. Each of us had it. Each of us sat in front of the board, and then we basically navigated these little characters around a map
That's
as
the
it
one I
went
did at the demo.
around with us. So I did that with my son. That was the last time, more than a year ago, that we got it up and running as a proof of concept. There's Figment XR has a build running on it. The issue that Tilt 5 faces is you gotta it's there's two different constraints pushing at each other. Like there's actually, you can take the reflective board that Tilt 5 has for that and mount it up on the wall, and then have that be a 3D window into another space. Everything in that wall will be knocked out into depth, right? So you can lean up and go all the way up in that window. But that mode of play is not being played by anyone who has Tilt 5. Like no one who has Tilt 5 is putting their thing up on the wall to make it a portal into a window, even though a really cool dev could do that. The way they're intending this thing to be used is flat on the ground. And I have a theory, like there's no, that flat on the ground thing puts a hard barrier on how high the illusion works above the table. So you lean in and you get a really great effect of depth going down, but because the ridge, the edge of the table is flat over there, nothing augmented, no content comes up above the table. It's like seeing the edge of your field of view in a VR headset. That's its edge of field of view, is the edge of the board. And it has limits on what games will work in that style of play. And when I think of your 2 games here, they rise up above a thing, not going
but you can also
to the ground.
Position them down. You
yeah,
can grab
but then
that. I could put that on the floor if I wanted to.
But then how do I interact with, how do I grab things?
Yeah, okay.
Am I hitting my hands hitting the top of the board?
Okay.
And even then, like I'm using the control stick. Very fascinating though. Still fascinating project. The use case that I've talked with Tilt 5 and Jerry Ellsworth at length about is, imagine a powerful PC mounted on the underside of a coffee table, and then you've got 4 USB-C cables coming out to 4 compartments on all 4 sides of this table. And you come over, you sit down with your coffee, you put it in the coffee holder right now. The 3 other people all sit in their 3 spots. You take the glasses out of their holder that they're sitting in right at this table. You put them on. The 3 other people all put them on too. And you've got wizard's chess. You've got you've got something, some game. All 4 of you have represented holographic chess from Star Wars,
like
whatever the
chess,
game is floating right there. And if you have maybe 4 or 5 good solid games like that, you could have a nice little attraction at a coffee house. But I don't know that anyone has built those 5 games. I don't know that anyone has tested this
I've seen their
out.
catalog over the years. I mean, they don't post on socials as much as they used to. I know they used to be very active. I know Jerry and Stephanie were really pumping out a lot of content. But they did have some tabletops. I mean, they had some of your traditional board style games that were showing up.
Well, I think board game, where one of the things that they partnered with is one of those everything type board games that so you can bring your game to the board. So very, very cool ideas there.
And Andrew Tech's got a good point. He says, doesn't Tilt 5 support Demio? And I want to think that it does.
I don't. I think that was our
working
campaign.
on getting it on the system. Because I remember there being a rumor about that at one point.
We have filed a campaign about why Demio is the right fit for Tilt 5.
Maybe
I have been solely responsible, I think, for that bit of misinformation, because I have repeatedly said that Demio is the perfect fit.
Oh, it would be
for Tilt 5. It's the exact right model of game to just click right into this little board. So you've got different size boards, and going back to what I was trying to say on the board situation, right? You know how like you've got this hard edge? You can actually trick the system. Some of these boards, you can fold the board in half that comes from Tilt 5. So what you have is a bottom half here, and then you've got a back half that's at 90 degrees. And what that gives you is an extra 12 inches of height for all of the augmented content at the sacrifice of all of that depth that you got over leaning over the thing. But now you've got sort of like a thing you can lean around inside a little bit more, and you've got more height to the thing. But again, nobody is building games for a board that is anything else other than the default way of doing the board.
Yeah.
So I would love to see Tilt 5 get a second generation. I
would too.
Jerry Ellsworth, there's some members of the VR and AR development communities that have stories that, I don't know, transcend a lot of things that you don't hear from very often. Jerry, we've got it on UploadVR.com. Jerry got fired from Valve while working on this technology, Tilt 5. And then she went in pissed off at Gabe Newell and is about to walk out of the room and says, "You should just let me buy this technology." And Gabe Newell says, "Okay." And so she and a whole bunch of lawyers for both, I think, her and Valve work out taking her patents and her technologies with her as she exits Valve to start Cast AR first. And they had a whole Kickstarter history where they tried their best and didn't actually deliver. I think they refunded a bunch of people, if I remember correctly. That was a critical part in their story, is they kept that goodwill at a certain level. And then they refounded under Jerry specifically as Tilt 5, and they rebuilt the project as this thing that we've seen. What a wild story that is. Right, to have contained on our website, and to think about that grit, that
so much history,
following through on your dream to that degree, right, of your particular vision. It takes heart.
I got to say, when I met Jerry 2 years ago at GDC for the first time in person, I've talked to her online for several years, but she is probably one of the most passionate, driven people I have ever met. I mean, she's laser focused on that tech and
Oh yeah,
wants it to
slinging those
succeed.
boards around. She'll have sometimes like a thing over her back with the board rolled up
Yep.
inside of it, and she's shaking hands, going worldwide, looking for money. The way I'm effectively cheerleading devs who I can
Absolutely.
see have interest in work and are pushing against the grain, pushing against these things, pushing back at them, and I don't, they might not have success, but we've done our best to try to put a spotlight on work that we thought was interesting. Jerry's work is a perfect example of something that's so interesting. We don't know if it has the market, and she doesn't even know if it has a market. It's just passion.
It's passion. Exactly.
It's passion and belief in just yourself and the idea of fun.
Hey, where would we be right now if some teenager named Palmer Luckey didn't have passion for VR and decided to make a duct tape prototype and send it to John Carmack? I mean, come on. It's all about passion.
So the ed tech market. So one of the uses for Tilt 5 that could be really, really cool is imagine you've got an Android phone in your pocket or a dumb Android device. It's got no display on it, and it outputs to the glasses, the Tilt 5 glasses, and then you go into a museum or even an empty building, right? And there's little spots all over this building, evenly placed, and at every single spot is one of the Tilt 5 boards just laid out there. Cool. And around the Tilt 5 board is maybe they've got additional information or signage, or maybe not at all. But you go up to the board, and as soon as you get to the board, that particular monument or thing turns on. So this is a mummy from the 1800s. Yeah. You could have a board that could be hypothetically sized large enough to be the backing of a mummy. And when you walk by that mummy, everything activates, and you could go through a whole place that way. It would be a really interesting idea.
Did those glasses have that big of a field of view, though?
No. It would be wherever it has the retroreflective backing.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere that the glasses can project their light That's true. Special material will reflect back about 100 degrees AR over that stuff. So you could imagine props that are AR props, but they're just, all it is this material, actually.
Yeah.
Right. Backing, behind the thing, and the thing actually doesn't exist. It's just your glasses projecting.
Taking it a step further into not suspicious, and you just brought it up, talking about them going into the education tech sector. Imagine school classroom desks that just have that as their surface. Yes. And you just pick up your glasses, put it on, and the teacher is presenting things right in front of you that you can interact with, and that you can see little pieces of history going down, or, I mean, it's, I'm going to segue in and go off track for a minute, because I want to talk about something else I wrote about this week that really blew me away. And I know we're totally blowing all the subjects that we put on the thumbnail, but we haven't been in the studio for a while and talked. So this is great. Cosmic XR. Wow. Talk about education. I mean, that is just mind blowing. It's so gorgeous. The holograms look like just stunning, floating in my space, and it just got my mind racing as to the potential of education, the potential of bringing immersive tech into education and taking students' abilities to learn and retain to a different level. Because I know if I would have had this tech, I would have been a better student, because I would have been more engaged and I would have been more interested in what was being presented to me because of the format that it was being presented in.
So Arlen out there. All right. So Arlen is a game designer in waiting.
I saw that.
Got this guy incredible ideas in our audience. And Arlen sent, I think, these to me before, this idea of this dream game. And now that they're in our comments explaining it one more time, I think I've wrapped my head around it. So I'll try to explain this idea out a couple times. But imagine a 3D hexagon. He calls it a rhombic dodecahedron. Dodecahedron, a rhombic dodecahedron, a 3D hexagon. and he's imagining a space battle version of Axis and I think Allies made from these 3D hexagons where you can go across all of the axes. Do you remember, I know you've got a poster, Wrath of Khan. Do you remember Spock's big insight on how they win in Wrath of Khan?
Wait, what?
How does Spock defeat Khan? Not how we know
Oh,
how
well,
he does.
are you talking about like how they get back off the Genesis planet?
No, that's one clever thing that they do. No, I'm talking about Spock's like looking into the reviewer and he says, "I've noticed something about Khan."
God, I've got so many reference points to that because you could be referencing how they can take the shields down with the by using the prefix code. I'm going to go deep, man. So no,
I'm going to see if the audience can get. Maybe I'm fever dreaming remembering this thing, but I'm like to see if the audience remembers this
because you are literally talking about my favorite movie of all time.
All right, you're gonna die when you realize
I
this.
am. I'm going to lose cred here if
what experience does Captain Kirk have that Captain Khan does not have?
Oh, you're talking about the battle in the nebula, where yes, because he's not spatial. He thinks in a 2D plane.
Yes, and our audience got it to it at the same time.
And I didn't have to look at that.
I
got it without looking at that. I'm sorry.
All right. I hope that was fun for everyone. I think that was fun. Right. All right. Yes. Spatial thinking, 3-dimensional thinking. Yes. Like if you had that moment with Wrath of Khan in the what year did that one come out?
1982, 81, 82.
You're talking about a writer, right, who put that line to paper.
Yeah.
Right. You're talking about 40 years ago. And that line alone broke brains, right, for 40 years. That line alone, of course you would think spatially. Of course you would think in 3 dimensions. You can move your ship in any direction.
Oh, God, man. The scene when the Enterprise comes up behind the Reliant, man, and you just see it. He's like cruising on a flat plane, and Kirk is just like, nah, just raise. Boom, just comes right behind him.
Yeah. All right. So that's what Arlen is in our comments discussing. Basically, a 3D version of the core shape of the spaces in Civilization games. Okay. So, what if each turn you could move this ship 3 parsecs, whatever term you want to term the lines on these rhombic dodecahedrons, right? Each one of those could represent how far a certain ship can go. Some ships can go 7 of those lines. Some ships can go 4 of those lines per turn. And all you got to do is move your finger through space to let it go.
It almost sounds like you're describing the tabletop board game Starfleet Battles. Because that was done on a map, and then you had you had to move the ships. And
I mean, this is the same as a miniatures game, right? Like miniatures are played this way, where you build the whole miniature out, and each character you actually take a tape measure out and measure out how far he can go each move.
Yeah,
I love this because you can almost like if we do this right, if you build VR right, like I'm convinced people are almost doing some of this in Resonite. Like you can almost piece together games at this level in Resonite. I
can see it.
But like, imagine Arlen, this guy who's got this idea of a game map, and someone else is like, "Oh wait, I want to actually design the ships." Okay, and they're sitting over there in their corner designing the different ships, while Arlen is over here figuring out the mechanics of how do we allow each of these ships to move. He's building the rule sets for everything over here. I'm building the assets to go into the game. And then we're playing a game together like this, right? We've just built it in virtual reality. It's very similar to some of the discussion we were talking about David's dream social network yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Or I mean, even bringing it back to your earlier discussion with Chris about how you build the tracks together. Just the ability to English is not my first language. Collaboratively build those tracks together in the same space. So
I love F Meister. Thank you. If you guys did a stream speaking Klingon, it would be fascinating. Don't
Kapla.
tempt us. Doc Ba, Doc Be.
Yeah.
Wait, I think that was to be or not
I'm-
to be.
Okay, but here we could do that. But you'd have to. Okay, I'm going to bring it up, and I still have the CD-ROM. I swear to God. Okay, so back in the '90s, FMV games were my jam. I think you might know where I'm going with this. There was two. There was Starfleet Academy and Klingon Academy. Okay, I literally drove 100 miles to buy the DVD versions of both of them. Never could get them to work because my DVD player in my computer wouldn't play them for some reason. But part of Klingon Academy is a special bonus disc that is called the Klingon Language Lab, and it's done by Michael Dorn. And you cannot finish Klingon Academy unless you learn basic conversational Klingon, because there are sections of the game that they do not subtitle.
Oh
so you
my
have
gosh.
to learn some Klingon in order to play that game. And it was just brilliant to do that. And, to think, and this is the last nerdy bit, that is actually one of the few, I think Elvin from Tolkien, but that is one of the few recognized fictional languages spoken
Elvish.
on this planet. Elvish, Klingon, I mean, they are actually officially recognized as languages now that people can speak.
Arlen says they've got pages of ideas for their Dream XR Space Combat board game. Yeah, XR Space Combat board game. I love and we're talking about strategy and whether real-time strategy applies to turn-based strategy when you let the waves build up and then come at you. And we're all in dream. We're all dreaming of the same space. I love Chris saying that Jerry's promise that they were trying to pursue with Tilt 5 of using models to augment play with the headset. And Not Suspicious saying there's so much potential in tabletop MR. Humanity has been designing and playing tabletop games in real life for thousands of years. It's the oldest form of gaming. I love it, and it's absolutely accurate, right? It's just what's the best way to pass the time, and there's so many ways. People are talking about the made up languages, and I very much. I love Star Trek 6. It's grown on me over time.
Okay. I'm still going
why.
to say Wrath. Wrath is still my absolute all-time favorite Star Trek movie. It just really, from beginning to end, edge of your seat. You can't stop it. And I mean, for me personally, it was my birthday gift, I think, right? Well, no, it was after I started Upload, because I remember telling you guys about it. My wife bought me the tickets to go to Austin and to see the Wrath of Khan, and then Shatner came out on stage and did his hour-long presentation talking about the movie for the anniversary. It was just phenomenal.
Awesome. Yeah, and so back to our topics at hand. Back to our. Did you see the spoiler that we were talking about with Strange New Worlds, or did you tune out for a spoiler?
I do try to avoid spoilers. I have not. I do not know anything about this week's.
I just mean that there's a holodeck episode in this season.
Well, no, I've already seen the holodeck episode.
Okay, all right, that's all I was saying.
Yeah, that wasn't like I'm talking about like apparently, and I didn't realize it was such a short season. Apparently, what we got this week is the season finale.
Oh, I guess maybe.
I don't know, but people are saying it's good. People are saying it's bad. So I've been avoiding it. Stacy and I usually watch it on Fridays because she's gone back to school. So Thursdays is a night she has to study, unfortunately. So I avoid spoilers like the plague until Friday night, until we can watch it together. Because funny thing is she actually has really grown on that as well. So it's such a great thing that my partner comes and watches that with me. So
yeah, and I'm picking episodes, so we're slowly going through Stargate and Star Trek over here.
Stargate,
we're switching back and forth between them.
Yeah, all the stars, Stargate, Star Trek. Yeah, I love them all. Star Wars. So,
all right, let's talk about No Man's
Star Trek
Skies.
6 is still fantastic.
So No Man's Skies Voyager's update. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, yeah, because that really could be something that gets us to what I was talking to you guys in private over in the work channel about. You can now have multi-crew ships in there, so you can literally invite friends onto your Corvette. So I mean that right there is what I've wanted in a multiplayer space game forever. Now, I know Elite Dangerous did that as well, where you could invite somebody onto the ship with you. But, and I know this one's probably not going to have you crewing up and all that. But Ian, let me just take a minute and then we'll go right back. But you got my mind wondering, and I think I've said it a million times, but I'm going to say it to our audience. Imagine Star Trek Bridge Crew, but each one of us literally had our assigned positions, and I had my ship and you had your ship, and we're just in a vast open world space, and we come across each other and I hail you and you show up on my view screen and we're having a conversation, and we don't like each other all of a sudden because you're a different race, or you're and boo-doo-doo, now I'm going to red alert, and you're so I mean, or we team up and we go after the Borg, or we go. I mean, that's what I want.
So
that's what I want, and this gets us closer.
We're getting full circle with a couple of really fun things in our audience, right? Ready Player One. Not a lot of people out there necessarily have read the book at this point. It's not, like it's Da Vinci Code of VR novels, right? You could hate the Da Vinci Code because right you hate the writing.
2 feet away from I could literally hear. What am I holding?
Yeah.
What am I holding?
Is it signed? Is that one?
It is not signed. I've never met Ernie. I would love to meet him in person.
They handed out signed copies at one of the Oculus Connects, but there's some differences between the book version and the movie version. But
vast.
There were certain elements, right? Like the idea of artifacts being hidden in the world that had special powers, and you can imagine like. An interstellar battle with 100 ships, and this one person in this interstellar battle is like, I'm going to throw my artifact into the middle of this and cause some kind of utter destruction. But what I just described has to be planned out by a designer to the moment that one thing gets tossed into the battle. Suddenly the game breaks for everyone in the same way, right? Yeah. Like we all, when the bomb goes off in the asteroid field in a Star Wars movie, and you get this really satisfying boom, and everything shatters, and you see all those little pieces. Like that would be an amazing thing to happen in the middle of a fleet battle where someone has the super mega ultra laser beam, right, to attack everyone else with. And you get that moment in VR. But instead of like all of you just going down to 1 frame per second during that moment, you actually get this great visual haptic effect.
Sorry, I got to switch Bobo batteries here.
We all want this. Star Trek does ship to ship, captain to captain thinking so well. Star Wars does fleet battles better. It's fun to watch, but you don't get inside the captain's head that way. I think that's interesting to think about, like moral quandaries. How do you get the effect of like a captain having to deal with a moral quandary over the course of 20 or 30 minutes?
That would be exactly where I would want to be. I mean, just really put me in the world.
I got it. What? I got it, Don.
What is it?
All right. It's Star Trek, but the universal translators are broken.
Okay.
It's maybe it could be early Star Trek, right before they've invented it. It's right before Enterprise, or they've got a really janky version. But you can't talk. You get them up on the view screen, but you got a Darmok on Jalad.
Oh my God! I was literally about to say Ian and Don in the studio. And see if you got it. But yeah. So.
Well, do you remember Half and Half?
Wait.
It's a game called Half and Half.
No, I'm not familiar.
So it comes from Normal VR. Hopefully it's still out there. But they had Tag and a couple other games. And one of the fundamental features that they had in that, they also had wiggly arms so that your arms were jiggly and it was fun. But one of the fundamental features was it would turn your voice into Simlish to be heard by the other players. So you just hear weird little sounds. Right?
Interesting.
I would like that interaction ship to ship in Star Trek. Right?
No, that would be really cool.
Like we have to figure out how I can't teleport over to your ship. Maybe I could get killed if I do that. I have to, are you going to give me hand signals to make sure it's okay for us? How do we trade items across our ships if I can't talk to you?
Well, I mean, think about it. If we were out there for real and we came across somebody like that, we'd have to figure it out. So you'd have to figure it out. I mean, you'd have to find a way to found a commonality, just like anybody else. I mean, if you don't have a universal translator, what do? You start with the basics, hand,
Yeah, flashing
me,
lights.
I mean, my name is, and try to get, so.
I love this. And what's amazing, think about that, right? If you make the world, if you architect the world right, so that interactions like that happen, but they're not common, you actually encourage the interaction to go positively, right? Like instead of just raiding the other team or whatever, like let's actually figure out how we can exchange something of value with one another.
No, I'd be all for less pew pew and more, interaction. But with now, full circle. So with No Man's Sky Voyagers, we're gonna get multi-crew ships. It's not going to be like that, but you are going to actually be able to have somebody finally come onto your ship, and you're going to get bigger ships. You're going to be able to customize them, put new weapons on them, have people just walk around. Part of the write-up that Henry did is talking about how, the ship is an open space. You can wander down halls, see med base, sleeping quarters, war rooms, use teleporters. I mean, so it really is, I think, almost like Sean is trying to bring some form of Trek into No Man's Sky.
It's really building it up one at a time, right? Like it's the pieces of our dream, one step at a time.
Yeah,
and
no,
Hello Games, please don't sell out. Please don't go.
No, never. No,
you and Mighty Coconut live in our shelf in the corner of independent projects that we want to see be independent for
I
the remainder.
want to play No Man's Sky so much, but oh my God, because of what we do and our time constraints, I can't as much as I want to, because it becomes such a time suck. You get so sucked into that game and you just want to explore and find the next procedurally generated planet and build your next base. And I mean, it's just, where's the time?
All right, let's talk about Marvel's Deadpool VR here.
Oh God, please, let's do
as our last subject of today.
Because I read your impressions, but it's never the same as hearing them straight from you.
Well,
and
it's
you've seen it. Henry's seen it. I am desperate to see it. Come on, Meta, please, Access. Come on.
I mean, I think that's the takeaway. Is it looked like Henry went in there and tried it out and saw the same thing I did. Was that they've got a really fun combat game. Like
that's what I'm hearing.
They're doing fun combat, and that's kind of all you need to get right with Deadpool.
Well, and I love the fact that they're encouraging creative combat as well. I mean, not just one of the things that we've had so many good games as of late that have had great combats, like Behemoth. Obviously going all the way back to like Saints and Sinners. When you have melee combat, stuff like that, but you got to get it right, and I don't know. It's just well, hold on a second. For some reason, my battery's failing again. It says I'm on one, like about to die.
I see someone in our comments saying that they want to see FTL in VR, and Andrew, you nailed it right there. FTL,
Artemis
what
Bridge
a brilliant!
Too. I know Arlen, I think, brought that up.
FTL, if you haven't played FTL, that's an incredible flat panel game, and I love even just picturing it in my mind. What does FTL look like if like it raised off of that little board map that you see of the ship? You could see just the outline of the hull of the ship around your characters, and you could take your character and move them from room to room. What I got to make pitches to go look at our articles on various things, but go look at the article on the robots the invisible mobile robots that will move things into place in front of you. Also look at the research on proxies that was put out a couple weeks ago. So you could search proxies, UploadVR.com, or you could search the invisible mobile robots, UploadVR.com. Both of those research projects are essentially describing like ideas that clever developers have already figured out, and they're just formalizing it for the rest of us to use in their projects. And a lot of these ideas are already there. We're already like so close to just, oh man, FTL, where you could command all the characters right around the screen, would be phenomenal. They did, was it From Other Suns, I think was the game.
Yeah.
And it was From Other Suns was 100% FTL. It was great, but you had to jump through a lot of hoops to get everyone in. It was It was very close to
God, you hit a
Among Us.
nail,
It was
man.
Among Us.
No, I was going to say you hit a nail when you said you had to jump through hoops. I just went through that over my vacation, and I'm going to rant for 1 second, if you don't mind. Please make it easier for people to get into multiplayer games. My wife, like, she used to love to play with me, but we tried so many times over my vacation the last couple of weeks to just jump into a game together and enjoy it. And so many connection issues, so many, lag issues. And we're standing in the same space. I've got a massive Wi-Fi 7 router. I mean, we shouldn't be having these issues. So I just encourage Meta, please focus on that. Make it easier for people to connect in VR and play together. That's just
they'll announce it,
issue.
right? Here's what they'll do. They'll announce it at Connect.
Yeah.
And it'll ship sometime after.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, like they did it with legs, right? They came out and show Mark Zuckerberg animated with a spit, like, we've got legs, and you can't kick a soccer ball, right? I pointed out that point. Like, that's how fake the legs were, right? You don't say you're getting legs if they're just stupid legs, right?
Yeah,
They're
don't say
legs.
we're getting anything if you're not gonna actually deliver it in a timely manner, because I'd like to take my legs and walk through GTA San Andreas one day, but just gonna say.
Chris asking, is From Other Sun still playable? And like, that's what I was gonna say is go play Among Us, right?
Yeah.
Fundamentally, Among Us is From Other Suns, but with the loop just built to get other people in VR a little bit quicker than all these other things. I don't know.
Yeah, since we're talking about fleet battles and referencing articles and stuff, so we do that often. I will reference another one that I just wrote up, Battle Group 2 VR, looking really, really tight. If you want big fleet battles, but from a different perspective, again, not an RTS gamer, but that one's really on my radar, because I kind of think that the perspective of doing the RTS genre from the bridge of the ship and watching the battles go down and having some modicum of being able to fly the ship in some way is going to be gold.
It's funny when you think about all the races and different species that have been in Star Trek, right? You could have like a god type character messing with your fleet battles, and you could have that present amongst your.
Have a Q just show up and start like flicking ships all over the place and making things disappear.
Yes, right. We're ready. The Borg is here. Borg has shown up, and that's the type of person you are, right? You and 50 other Borg all make the same decisions to fly together this week.
Wow. And then we're all linked, and we can all hear like each other through the headsets, and that would be weird.
And you could be a horrible. Yeah, like you can imagine the Borg just taking over sectors, but you can't, like, when you point in a direction as a ship, you just get like a little, you can't really shift the direction of everyone. You only get like a little vote amongst a million other votes. And so you just, as a Borg cube, fly in different ways from the captain, which is like it's so fun to imagine a Borg cube that can't navigate in very ways, like the first Contact scene where the Starfleet is throwing everything they possibly can at this big stupid ship, right? And like, I love that, right? That was really, there are some people that would love to fly the cube, and there are some people that would love to fly the little starships and avoid the things.
I would love to fly the Defiant.
Oh, the Defiant, tough little ship, right?
It is a tough little. Ooh, I love that you made that reference. You are my people.
Yep. And little, right?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So we've covered, I think, everything that's
really
happening.
Didn't talk much about Deadpool, though. We started and then I got us off topic, but
I mean,
it is
Deadpool.
Good combat. It's going to be great. It's Deadpool. I mean, what more can you say?
I want Deadpool and Wolverine. Arlen has already designed it in our comments, and we're ready for the other team. I guess I'll just throw out there that I hope that the teams that are building Deadpool and that have built Batman Arkham Shadow, I hope that Meta is throwing money behind those teams to build bigger projects next time. I hope that those budgets aren't getting cut in any way.
Could you imagine
that you can't take that quality work and cut down from it? So that's the overall thought with Deadpool.
Camouflage. I desperately want to see what's coming from them next after Batman. I just Iron Man, Batman, man, just keep it going. They have continually impressed me.
I would hate for, like, imagine, what do you think those teams would get thrown at an AR glasses project? Like, they would, like, let's see what you can do in a limited field of view and
Be interesting. I
a
mean,
different device. I would not want that for them. I want them to keep
I don't
evolving.
know. I don't want, and that's that's like, as we approach Connect, I know that's going to be a lot of big news over the next couple of weeks. We're going to probably see a lot of stuff like that. I know that they are doing some developer focus filming right now, pre-Connect. I know some of the people that are doing that, but I really think that the focus is going to be on that. I think it's going to be on the AR ecosystem and starting to build that out. So kind of like what we saw in the early days of Gear VR, as you guys were mentioning. I think we're going to start kind of seeing the Gear VR days of AR soon.
So Arlen, and I want to talk about Siegfried's comment, I think, to close out the show here in a little bit. But they're talking about Comic-Con, and the Meta didn't have a presence at Comic-Con, and that's so odd because, right, I had a incredible demo at Comic-Con. I think it was in a Gear VR, where they had they must have spent a lot of money on this installation for Blade Runner 2048? 2049, yeah, 2049.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And you went into this facility and you sat in like a theater seat, and then you experienced the thing that had been built for the Gear VR or whatever it was at the time, the headset. It was like a fly around city. It's just like a
air car,
yeah,
air car, or the beginning of lo-fi, like when you're flying around in the ship.
So identical to that moment, except set inside the Blade Runner universe with some great music. Take the headset off, and they've opened the door to the left to basically an alleyway from Blade Runner 2049, and you're walking out there, and they've got all these drinks and machines that all resemble things from that universe. It's a really, really cool effect, and it was a powerful moment for Gear VR. And here, the fact that they're not doing that with Quest today, when they did that with Gear VR almost a decade prior, is alarming, right?
I'm going to reference your recent writing. I mean, look, or not yours, but I mean, one of the recent stories on our site. Look at the state of the retail right now. I mean, come on, Meta, go put swatters back in these Best Buys. Clean up your displays. You're not showing VR in its best light. And give us more demos like that. Give us more, these pop-up experiences that we used to have, like that Meta would just show up. The van would roll up, and all of a sudden, like, you're in front of the Best Buy and they're showing people VR, and it's like the coolest damn thing that you've ever seen. We need that energy back. We need that energy back in the retail space.
So let's go back to the Siegfried comment, and the Siegfried question, and as we'll close out this show, was they were asking whether they should be investing in the Meta ecosystem or the Valve ecosystem, and it was such a fascinating question that, like, if we picked one or the other, that would reveal some biases, and so I don't pick one. I pick neither, and I don't even pick Apple either, right? Even though I use the Apple Vision Pro. I think I've been buying original media over the last year and a half to 2 years. I've put a stupid amount of money into original media because I noticed this trend, partially spurred by Don here, where in his coverage of UEVR and his coverage of Team Beef that he's been on, Tomb Raider. I have a copy of Tomb Raider from the 1990s. If I have a copy of Doom from 1993, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If I have a copy of that sitting on a thumb drive, right? It's sitting here in my hand. This game that I visited over 30 years ago on a flat screen over there, right? And I take love that fans of this game have made. Here's the love in this hand, right? And I stick it into the thumb drive, right? And suddenly that place from 1993, that the thing that was just a window, is now a three-dimensional place. This fan has made this flat thing into a place. And that's the trend of overall computing. That's why this is called VR Sideload.
Yep.
Is I've been investing in cartridges and even discs to try to prove out this concept that you actually are not a pirate to want to go to this place from your childhood.
Not at all.
You're not doing anything illegal in order to want to experience Lara Croft floating in your living room, swimming through the waters, right? Like, you want to see these games as places or as volumes floating in front of you.
Yes.
And you know what? There are other fans of the same idea out there who have made it happen for you. And so, like, ultimately, I don't think you go and buy games from Steam. You don't go and buy games from Meta. You start thinking about the long-term aspect of these things of like, okay, maybe Meta gets a few dollars from you near term, but also go throw a few dollars into a place where no one can take that content away from you.
Ever. Marvel, Powers United. I mean, think about all the great games that have been delisted that we, luckily, the Star Trek Bridge Crew, I have it. I can still play it. You can't, as a new user, go buy it right now on Meta. You can still get it on PlayStation. You can still get it on, I believe, Steam, but you can't get it on Meta. And that, to me, is a huge fail. Don't ever take those things away from us. So having that physical media, and I actually, kind of interesting story that you brought up, physical media. I went and dug through my shed to pull out some old discs for like some of the old Wing Commander games and things like that, because I've been experimenting with an emulator that's starting to make a resurgence after a year because it's finally starting to get good, and that's Winlator XR. And we haven't really covered it yet because I'm not ready to. Because I don't think
we talked about it a little bit on Download yesterday.
Did you guys talk? I
well,
missed
yeah,
Download.
but we're going to have to be really careful on that one and the Play Freedom. So look for 2 articles from you. Those should be your next. Like, you need to get on those.
I'm working on it, Ian. Yeah, I want to get my thought. I really want to get those right. I want to get those down. But I got to pull out my physical media. Let me finish my thought here. And it was interesting. You say rip. Y'all were talking about burning CDs and ripping. So having that physical media, I had those install files. I did not have to feel like a pirate. I did not have to go to some janky torrent site and try to download this old media. I had it. And a lot of times you can go to your local, we have a place called Vintage Stock, or you can find these places in your own town where you can find that media again. Yeah. And like in your case, like for emulators, I know we talked about this when we covered some of the emulation stuff like Citra last year. It's great that you have all of that physical media available to you and the little thing that you can rip it for your emulator, because then you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, I'm supporting artists. I'm going to name them, right? Like it's there. This is the underlying thing. There are more Game Boy games in existence today than there were in the 1990s.
Clippy wouldn't take Bridge Crew from you. I'm sorry, Sampler 19's comment just got me.
There are more Game Boy games published this year for Game Boy than probably any year since 2000.
Yeah. I know, they're still coming out.
So like it breaks all of your arguments when you take a Game Boy camera from the 1990s and stick it into a piece of hardware from the 2025s, and it works. You've got a camera, right? And you pull that out, and you've got to put a radio in. Don sent me a pile of old iPods.
Oh, I found a new one. I found another one for you.
He doesn't use iPods, doesn't use Apple products, and he knows that I've got a bunch of them. I tried. I couldn't get any of them to work except for one of the iPod Nanos.
Okay, you got one to work. Okay,
so awesome. and I took the iPod Nano and I stuck it to my wall. Now it's sitting there, and I got the old 30-prong cord or whatever plugged in. It's now plugged in 24/7 on, plugged in there in the corner, and then I took an AirFly. And plugged it into the headphone jack, which turns 3.5 millimeter into Bluetooth.
Okay.
Now I connected that to some Bluetooth speakers in my room, and I can go up and mess with my wall controls at any time. I hit play, I go to my playlist, I select a song, put it on shuffle, and now ambient in my office is playing a playlist
that just made my day. that you actually got use out of that. I just figured I was sending them to you for your collection. I didn't ever know that any of them would even work again. But I have another Nano for you, and this one I believe has never even been powered on.
So
still in the original little tiny little cube box that it came in.
So Andrew is asking, is there a cartridge reader for Game Boy or Game Boy Advance that works with RetroArch on Quest? I put a call out in the past. If someone makes the playback app work for Quest, I would like to write an article about that immediately.
Now,
Playback is the app that is used by the Game Boy operator, the GB operator, to do its function. And so I've got a couple of these GB operators around me. I use them to put Game Boy cameras on my computers. So like my webcam on my computer can be a Game Boy camera by way of the Game Boy operator and using this playback app. The playback app, as I understand it, runs on a couple different places, but I think there's one for Linux. I think there's a build of the playback app for Linux. Someone packaged that up for Quest, and I will stick the Game Boy operator on the top of my Quest right here, and then I will stick a Game Boy camera into the top of the Game Boy operator, and I will open the playback app inside my headset, and I will have a Game Boy camera view. I could choose the Game Boy camera was a cool design. It actually had a little rotating nozzle on it. So I take the Game Boy camera onto the top of my head, and it's facing forward as like a peacock camera out top. I just take it, turn it upside, and go back, and I've got a rear view camera from a Game Boy camera from the 1990s, just on the top of my head. All right, so that's the app to answer your question. And Andrew, we do not have it yet, and that is the hardware to do it. You could also, let's see, this wasn't your question, but Andrew, you can also take a mod retrochromatic and take a video output from it and get that into your headset. But that's not what you're looking for.
I was kind of going to go there. Yeah, you could probably do the HDMI in straight from one of those systems using like a micro HDMI.
Siegfried, I had lots of VHS and DVD and CD and gaming cartridges and disc. It was nice getting rid of them. I love it. So many things cluttering. That's just me. 100%.
Some people want that, and some people want to. I used to have a wall with them. I used to I wanted to show them.
I did this, right? I did this, right? Evacuated all the media, right? But what I have to do is I'm trying to be a bridge for all of those people who think they can't do this. Yeah. I want to make sure people know, like, oh, that disc right there, you can actually put it in a player and then have HDMI come out from the back of it and into your headset through a converter. And like, I got HD DVDs up there. I've got Shrek 2 on the Game Boy Advance. I can watch Shrek 2 on a Game Boy Advance cartridge inside this studio with you, Don.
That's amazing.
And
no, I will say,
we get you an Apple Vision Pro, Don. We get you an Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah,
and I can take that HDMI signal, put it into my headset, and then share it with you, and we can watch Shrek 2 on Game Boy Advance together.
That would be so cool. That'd be cool. But I need the Vision Pro first. So
yeah, all right. Yeah. I wasn't offering you a Vision Pro. Nice try.
Oh man, we'll see. Psych. Like now, get me all excited. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. I think we've done it for this show. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I want to encourage you to support artists, support creators.
Yes.
Even if it's in Horizon Worlds where there's a lot of bad stuff, if there's someone who's made something good, shout it from the rooftops. Tell other people about it.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, tell us about it. We want to know about those things. We will look. The VR, the thing that people don't forget, right? There are more spaces in VR today than there were yesterday. Okay. Now, there aren't people necessarily in all of those spaces, but yeah, the space is growing. Right?
The landscape is getting large.
And so it's hard for us to find things. We've talked about a whole bunch of things. Just to recap, go check out Namawanki Inside VR Chat by Kevin Mack. Go check out Super RC. You can go wishlist that on the Quest store right now. You can go check out Tablecraft. You can check out
Bastions.
Yep, and as well as Airspace Defender.
So Cosmic XR. God, all the ones we've talked about today. Cosmic XR. So many. We've gone down so many rabbit holes today, but that's what happens when we haven't seen each other in a month.
Yep. So Siegfried, I get you on why you have no interest in physical media. Don is in that camp. I get you. I'm in that camp too. But we need to talk to those physical media, and I will just add that we do lose things. There's things about physical media that we try to recreate in digital media, and that will come up again during our discussions, right? The scratches of vinyl, the bit rate limits of CD, right? There's a sound
Demos.
to it. And
demo CDs. I miss demo CDs. I miss going to Burger King and getting Sneak King in my Happy Meal or in my combo meal. And going home and the cool dot, the 7-Up promotion with the cool spot. You got a PlayStation disc and you put it in there and you play the little cool spot game.
Why I want Game Boy cartridges in my Happy Meals? I will put on 20 pounds if they start distributing Game Boy cartridges again.
Yeah, chicken nuggets all day just to get that cartridge, man.
I got Tetris. I got a Tetris. I've got a Tetris nugget. Have you seen the Tetris nugget?
No, I have not seen
it. It's a chicken nugget that plays Tetris. And the place I bought it from made a little 3D printed holder for it.
You showed it to us on, yes, I remember you.
Oh, the Tetris nugget. All right, we'll see you in the future.
All right, bye.